All right, Kokane, Code 187. How you guys doing?
We're good. We're good.
Good, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you having us here.
Appreciate you having us, man.
Man, yeah, I appreciate you guys, you know what I'm saying? I know you guys been in the game a long time, man. Two West Coast legends. You know, you guys been around a lot of people on the West Coast, man. You know, I'm just happy to have you guys here, man. You know, the era, the early 90s, that's like my era of music.
Right. That's right.
You know, that I come from. So,
Already.
you know, whenever I can interview somebody from that era, it's always a dope time for me. You know,
That's
so.
right.
Right on.
Salute.
For sure.
Salute.
For sure.
That.
Definitely, man. Well, I'd like to get into your guys' story a little bit, kind of get to know you guys. You know, I know a lot of people probably, know about you, but, we'll get into maybe dive a little deeper and, I'm saying, let the fans get to know a little bit about you. So, where'd you guys grow up at?
Well, we grew up in Pomona, California. It's the last city out of LA. And like with anything, it has your crime. Yeah, we've been murder city.
Yeah, we've been in the top 10.
Top 10.
Yeah.
But besides that, we also had an outlet for hip hop. You know what I'm saying? In the 80s, the mid 80s, it was a spot out there called Grand Central Station. I don't care where you, LA County Fairgrounds. Yeah. In order to come out, there, we had the LA County Fairgrounds, and a lot of people from surrounding cities used to migrate to Pomona, California. So
to get that hip hop,
yeah. So we grew up there, and we had all type of different scenes. You had the gang banging scene. Yeah. You had the D-boy scene.
That's right.
You had the hip hop scene. So all rolled up into one. And we started off like in the 80s. Cuzzo started off before me. But, it was real big out there and real popular. And Pomona made big noise because we had to. Because anybody that came over the hill, they was like, Pomona?
Yeah.
Man, that sound country. You know what I mean? But once they came over the hill, they found out it was very real, though.
Yeah, because, it's like a baby L.A., basically. It kind of politics the way L.A. politics, but it's a small city, with a big name. And in the 80s, we was subjected to the gang violence, the drug trade, all those things. Which is how that was a blueprint of Above the Law and Kokane, that whole scene in that 80s era, what was going on in our city as well as South Central.
Right.
Yeah. Kind of mirrored and Compton, because the Compton sound is what put us on. Eazy and NWA, Dr. Dre and Laylaw put us on. So, yeah.
I remember Kokane, you come from a family of musicians, right?
Yeah, we both
do.
You both do.
We come from music royalty.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't know that, but years later, as we open up dialogue, they found out we come from a musical background.
Yeah.
Can you guys talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, actually, my father's named Jerry Buddy Long Sr. I'm Jerry Buddy Long Jr., and he used to work for Motown. He was in charge of the working with the Funk Brothers. Some of his work that he worked on was Just My Imagination by The Temptation. Papa Was a Rolling Stone. Basically a slew of hits for Motown, as a rager, composer, and writer. So music was always embedded in our DNA. And plus, he could tell you too,
My dad was a writer and composer in Motown. He wrote for the Miracles, the Jackson 5. And then our uncle is Willie Hutch. So, which they all collectively collaborate on a lot of things. Willie Hutch did everything from the Mac, the Fifth Dimension, Foxy Brown, The Last Dragon. He wrote I'll Be There. The list goes on. That's our bloodline in music. Yeah.
Okay, that's what's up.
Not to make it so simple, but we grew up having music around us all our lives. So yeah. So it's just simple. It was easier for us to get the bug because it's in us, to start doing music. And when our legacy started off, they counted it. It's funny because it didn't have anything to do with that form of music. It actually was hip hop and reality rap at the time, which became gangster rap.
Right.
So. Yeah, so that's why people don't really make the connection of our parents were like more prolific soul writers. They wrote soul music.
Right.
Basically, some of the greatest people we just named in the history of R&B and soul music. So,
that's our lineage.
Were
you guys automatically just drawn to music as kids, and you guys wanted to rap and to sing and?
Yeah, I'm a musician. He's a musician. We both played instruments when we were young. You know, he plays we both played trumpet when we were growing up, and I play bass guitar, piano, and French horn. So yeah.
I mean, so the apple it fell off the tree properly.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, we can remember walking in studios when we were shorty, and the running board looked like a spaceship. You know what I mean? So, you know, music has always intrigued us.
Yeah.
And that's why we're here
to
today.
make it. I mean, you know, because sometimes when you don't really get it to actually compose or write music, and especially the form that the time that we came into music was a time where it was rebellious. The music was really rebellious. Well, you know that because you came up in that era, so you know it was kind of against the grain what our parents was doing and our uncle was doing. So, but they always taught us that you have to find your own path in music. You can't really emulate or imitate them unless you're true to that. So if we truly came up and had the outlook like them, I think they would have backed that as well. You know, they didn't really understand hip hop at the time because they came from a more musicians background, composers, writers, and we were taught to be writers, composers, musicians, artists like that. When rap took off, we kind of started gravitating to hip hop. So that's how that unfolded. That's why the music that we do is more musical because of our background first.
So you guys always knew what you wanted to do with your life from the very beginning.
No. we knew we had an interest in music, but just like young kids in the '80s, we was subjected to all kind of craziness that was going
suppression.
on. Yeah.
You know.
So I would say we was only caught up in the streets because our peers were, and at the time that was like the end thing to be about, and then where we from, that's all that was there. It wasn't like an outlet for music.
Right.
When we were hella young, and that era wasn't a lot of outlets for music out of Pomona. You know what I mean? You either were squared up or you was on the other side of the tracks. You know.
Right.
So no, we didn't really know until I was caught up in the streets so heavy that I could use music as an escape out of the streets. You know, that's when I kind of gravitated back to the music. You know.
At what point did you guys take music serious?
I would say when I was like 14 years old, you know, because my grandmother put me in a jazz band, and I used to play trumpet. So I used to listen to all kind of music in the household. We would have blues, jazz, 70s R&B, you know, but I didn't take it serious. You know what I mean? That was
a recreation part.
It was just my turning point was actually when I was 14 years old. And I used to be a battle rapper. You know, I could sing at the same time, but I used to, you know, I was a b-boy, you know, and that in the 80s they say MC now, but we used to use b-boy.
Right. Yeah.
And I started, you know, battle rapping at school, you know, so to speak. And then it just took off, and it got serious. And I used to watch him a lot. You know, do his things at different talent shows, concerts. Yeah. You know, he was doing it for a minute. You know, he had a different name for a group. It was a different set of people. Mm-hmm. And it just inspired me, man, because, you know, we also used to rap we used to call them the girlies back then, you know what I'm saying? And staying fresh. And it was just appealing to me because it already caught my eye with watching Curtis Blow, Grandmaster Flash, the list goes on. Fat Boys and all that. Mm-hmm. And I got real serious about it. And when he was doing his thing, you know, I was the young pupil, he was the sensei. But I would always follow behind him, and knowing that I come from a musical background, I was like, you know, it's time for me to do my thing.
At what point did you make the transition from rapper to singer?
Well, I was always singing.
He always was singing, yeah. When he first came in, when I first decided to do records with him, that's what he did. It was the two things.
So you were singing and rapping?
Yeah, coming through at the same time.
Way back in the early 80s.
Yeah, that's what I was, because just watching him, like he says, as me being a producer and already being in music heavy, because I probably got serious with music, I would say probably around when I was in like the 5th grade, I started studying. You know, my father said I wrote my first song when I was like 6. But I didn't know the value of music far as where it could take my life. You know, I had been studying jazz 12, 13 years old. I had my own jazz ensemble and all that kind of thing. And then I was also in the orchestra, and I also was in a choir marching band as well. So as I started growing into music a little bit more, and as things started taking course and I started seeing, I made my first deal when I was in high school with a group that I had called the Wizards of Rock. It was with a European company called Champion Records. We had a record called Got Good Thing, and college radio used to play it when we were in high school. So that's my first serious thing. And then me and KMG wrote and produced for an artist named Big Lady K right out of Riverside. And she was signed a Priority along when they first signed NWA and Eazy-E. So, and I probably had to be 18, 17, 18, fresh out of high school type of thing. Like, and that's when I started really realizing the value of what entertainment can do, like to change your life, you know. But I still was hustling. I still really wasn't taking it serious because the streets made more money. It's the 80s, the drug trade, it's the crack game, the crack era, you know. So I didn't really believe it. I didn't really believe it was real until I met Eazy-E, you know, as far as it really being something that professional. I always had music in my life as the thing that kind of like, you know, you do something in your life that kind of keeps you level, keep you, you know, I have a reason to live because I got music, basically. I can always go back to the music and feel good about myself. No matter how much I'm in the streets doing wild, being wild, I got music, you know. So we kept coming back to music, and me, KMG, rest in peace, DJ Chaos, Gomac, we formed Above the Law, and then we took off from there. And that's when we knew it was real, when Eazy wanted to sign us.
Yeah.
From there, him and Dre wanted to sign us.
How did you guys meet everybody?
I met Eazy through Laylaw, which was through Gomac, through when we had a mutual friend that knew all of them. And at the time they were just starting Ruthless Records. And we was working on a demo called Living Like Hustlers, which was damn near like 80% done. The actual album that came out was actually like 80% done. And Eazy got at us and was like, I want to sign y'all. We went out on Straight Outta Compton tour, seen his whole layout, seen he was real serious because he was like, I know y'all selling drugs, I know y'all moving around in the streets and y'all making crazy money, but this is gonna change y'all life. And at that time, Eazy was like, hey man, y'all need to shut that shit down, or y'all need to go be in the streets and end up in prison or dead. Here's an alternative, here's an option. He gave us that. We saw his layout, we saw that what he was doing was true, and that began the birth of, you know, what everyone knows Above the Law and Kokane. So, and then Kokane comes in through me introducing him to Eazy and Laylaw, you know. I got my cousin, he's dope, he got this crazy style, it's off the Richter. They decided to do a 3-song demo with him. It blew their mind. From there, that was the birth of Kokane.
Okay, now as you're meeting Eazy, you're meeting everybody. Was NWA already taken off at the time?
When I met them, they were taking off.
They were on tour.
They were taking off. It started getting really I think only thing was really popping was We Want Eazy was really huge. It started becoming, Straight Outta Compton hadn't really got its legs yet, but by the time we all started really making a real relationship with them, it took off.
You mentioned you went on tour with them.
Yeah.
What was that like? Do you guys have any wild stories from being on tour with them?
I can tell you this. I won't say it's a wild story. You know the story. I have a couple of them I can't talk about. They're in the book, but one is, I remember what was we? I don't know what city we was in, and the dude was going on everybody's door. That's a true thing that happened. And dude is knocking on everybody's door, and where's my wife? Where's my wife? So we come in the room, it's like, hey man, dude out there looking for his wife. And they was like, hey, Eazy in the bathroom with his wife right now. Tell that motherfucker to get lost. So we went down, got security, which at the time I think Suge was on our security team. And they escorted, I don't know what they did to her, but maybe they buried something, I don't know. But yeah, they got her off the floor, and got him off the floor, and then they threw her out when Eazy finished having his way with her. Oh. So yeah, that's a real story. That was probably every night on tour where somebody was looking for their wife. That's a real story. There's some other stuff that's in the book that, you know, we'll get to, But no, yeah, some crazy. That's let me tell you, Eazy E and NWA. I had never known a groupie like an NWA groupie. I've never seen it. My whole history of, you know, of being in this, and it's 30-something plus. But when NWA hit hard, you talking about the groupies, they had them.
Yeah.
There
was like the Beatles.
Yeah, they like
basically.
The Beatles, yeah. I remember NWA going from being booed to being like the Beatles. That's how long we were around. You know, when they was almost getting like what we were doing. If you look back in '88, gangster rap hadn't hit. Like now, you can say it's like, oh yeah, it's like common, you know. But back then, it was scarce. It was. I mean, actually, it was not. It was the only people who were making hardcore records like that was Ice-T. And Ice-T probably was the only one. You know, East Coast, you had Schoolie D. You know, you had people like that. And the first BDP album,
Just
Criminal
Ice.
Mind, you had Just Ice. You know what I mean? But you didn't have it as a mainstream thing. When they hit hard with that mainstream reality rap is what it was called. That was a freight train, dog, tearing up everything. You know. And when I tell you the parties was way off the hook, when I tell you the tours was way off the hook, yes, everything you could name of was going on. But it's funny because it wasn't a lot of drugs going around. Not none of that. A lot of drinking.
Weed smoking.
Weed smoking, but not
That's
a.
it.
I mean, it's and I think as a young, because none of us was over. Eric was 26.
Yeah.
I think the youngest was around maybe like Coca and Cube before Cube had left. They were Cube. I don't think. Well, we were barely in our 20. We were like 21, 19, 20, 21. On a powerhouse label. But
young.
The oldest person around you is like 26 years old. That's like your OG. The youngest is probably like 19. So so you can imagine how wild it was.
Yeah, no real adult, older dude trying to come.
None of that.
Yeah,
Nah.
It was crazy, man.
Nah, it was crazy, man. It was crazy.
Was Ruthless your first record though?
Yeah.
Yeah, mine.
Both you guys too?
Yeah. We were originally, you know, we was trying to audition for our uncle.
Yeah, for Motown.
But, you know, Uncle Willie Hutch, you know, rest in peace. God rest his soul. You know, he didn't understand, you know, the language we were speaking because, you know, he come from an era where, you know, when you heard songs like from the Mac, Brothers Gonna Work It Out. And, but, you know, when you come in and hearing Code 187 talk that
murder rap.
shit and
Talking
all
about
that.
murder rap and
and
all
who's
that,
gonna call itself? Nah, he wasn't digging that.
Yeah.
How'd you guys get the name Above the Law?
Well, we got the name me, DJ Chaos, and KMG. You know, we was hustling in the streets. You know, we wanted it to symbolize being like against the establishment, but more so we wanted to actually solidify being different in music. So we wanted to be above the regular, above the average, above the, you know, because we was throwing names around like that, but we was in the streets, so we would just call it Above the Law. You know what I mean? And that's how we came up with it. We wanted to make our own path, like we're above what everybody else does. So we came up with that, you know, with Above the Law. And I mean, a lot of it had to do with how we wanted to make hardcore music and reality rap at the time, because it hadn't been labeled as gangster rap yet, you know. So we figured, okay, what could solidify a reality rap group than saying straight up, we above the law? And at first, they didn't want to call us Above the Law straight out. That's why a lot of the early records say ATL, because back then, the FCC and all that stuff, they didn't want to say a lot of anti-establishment phrases and stuff like that. They didn't want to do it. And then Eazy was like, just say it's above the law. We're just going to put it as above the law. I don't care, you know. So a lot of the records that we was doing, we was kind of coding the name. We wouldn't say Above the Law. We like ATL is the mega. ATL is this thing like ATL. But when we put it out, Eric would just say, we're just gonna say it's above the law, and leave it at that. Yeah.
Okay, that's what's up. How did Above the Law come together? How did you guys all meet? You know, growing up, or did you guys grow up with each other and everything?
Yeah, we all grew up together in Pomona. And then we added, the story is, you know, we all hustle together. But me, Cam G, and DJ Chaos, we went to middle school and high school together. We didn't form the group until we were like, you know, late teenagers, and then we met Gomac, and we met Laylaw. We met, and then we brought Kokane into the fold, and that's when it formed. Probably in '88, the actual group performed. But we were always friends. Me and him are cousins, so we grew up in the same house, dang near. But yeah, we all grew up together. Went to middle school, and high school together.
Okay, so in the NWA movie, there was a scene where Ice Cube gets into it with guys from Ruthless.
Right.
And I guess it was at a music seminar. And so I believe that was, you were involved
That's
in all
above the
that?
law. That's above the law.
Were both of you guys there?
No, I was at the pad
Yeah.
working on my stuff.
Yeah, he was
Okay.
on his record. This is when Living Like Hustlers first dropped. Me and Cube had some issues. He disrespected Pomona. Me and him got into a head-up scrap. Spilled over to the New Music Seminar.
So you guys got in a fight first?
Yeah, we had a fight first. Head up.
At the Celebrity.
At the Celebrity
Out here.
Theater. Yeah, me and him had a fight because we had an interview with LA Times. LA Times asked us, what's the sound, what signatures y'all music and everything. I want to say Gomac said, oh yeah, we talk about, because we wrote Living Like Hustlers in the Dope House. So like we talk about like, what we really was involved with, or our colleagues that was hustling with us is a reflection of their life or whatever. We're not like Ice Cube that went away to college and come back and act like this big time gangster in NWA, which at the time that's what he was. He was a dude that was really sharp with the pen, was kind of a schoolboy, never hustled the street, never banged in the streets, but he could depict what the gang culture was like in records. That's what we told LA Times. LA Times wanted to reply to that. On the interview, he said New Jack niggas from Pomona should only talk about the freeway because that's the only thing that's going through that motherfucker. I said, okay. Eazy called me. He said, hey man, did you get the LA Times? I said, no, man, you gotta see it. He laughing on the phone. He's a big joke, so he laughing, So I get it, I read the statement. I call E back and said, I'm gonna fuck your boy up. As soon as I see, oh, cuz, don't be tripping. I said, man, fuck that. Real, homie. He said, I said, if I see him tonight, I'm gonna fuck him up. So he come to the show. It's us, Low Profile, and Gangstar. It's the first show we ever had. It's a K-Day show. They used to throw these K-Day shows, high schools and colleges, Friday night jam or whatever, I forget what it's called. But it's our first concert. So he's, him and Dub grew up together. But Dub's godbrother, Dub and Tunes, rest in peace, their godbrother is a good friend of mine. So I already had knew them. So I go and say, hey man, I got a problem with your boy. You want to talk that shit. Is he coming? He's like, yeah, he probably gonna come through. I said, okay, I need to holler at him. So he come, made a meet up in the hallway. Said, what's up with that bitch ass shit you said in the newspaper? You trying to play me like a buster or something, homie? Like, oh, you a bitch ass nigga too. Like I said, what's happening? You want to get down? Oh yeah, what's up? So he acting tough. So my security, Ruthless security rushed me and say, go in the room, Hutch, you acting crazy. We don't want no problems here. They take him to Dub room. So mind you, as I told you earlier, Cube was our partner. It's like, how dare you say some bullshit like that when you know how we cut? You know what I mean? So he come back into my dressing room and say, what's up? As soon as he say, what's up? I give him to him a 2-piece hot wind. Boom, he fall through the door. Chaos grab him and throw him, slinging, and then all the security rush. So by the time speeding you up to New York, the rumor gets back, Brother Law jumped Cube. It really was me and him fighting. Wasn't nobody jump, didn't nobody jump nobody, right?
So Cube didn't back down either.
No, he didn't.
He didn't back
He didn't back down. He got socked out, but he didn't back down. He got socked out, but he didn't back down. and when we get to New York, so all the stuff going around the seminar is like, oh yeah, the Lench mob here, and they got issues, whatever, right? So we get to New York, we're like, okay, whatever. So we see each other going to a panel, right? And we face off right in the middle of the seminar, and we get down, and all hell broke loose. Q was nowhere around. We tore that whole floor up, and was never invited back to the New Music Seminar, never invited to a show or nothing, because they put it all on us. And in reality, because after the fact, we all became cool. Me, JD, Shorty, welcome home, JD.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
rest in peace, Shorty. We all became cool because we was all tripping off something that was a head up fight. You know what I mean? Like if they would just hollered at us like, man, what went down? We heard y'all jumped him, whatever. Like, nah, it was a head up fight, and if you want to get a head up again, we can get that. You know what I mean? Like, that's how we was. They thought he got jumped, so they was like, you know, we here to defend the homie honor like that. You know, y'all want to jump him, we can go head up. All of us can just brawl it out right here. That's what they thought. We never was able to explain to them till Greg Mack got us all on the phone like a panel and was like, you know, y'all need to be cool. Y'all didn't have nothing to do with collectively all y'all beefing at each other about something that was an difference between Hutch and Ice Cube.
Right.
And they already squashed it. So that's how that ended up getting squashed, you know, and everything. And that's what that was. That's what that scene was about. The reason why it's so profound and straight out of Compton, because in all of the tabloids back then, they said we were NWA's henchmen. And it was some personal stuff between me and Cube, basically, you know.
Okay, I seen you guys ended up squashing it.
Absolutely. Me and Cube squashed it first. We actually squashed it that night. You know,
okay.
Yeah, we squashed it that night. But when all the stuff started rolling out, it was like, oh, they jumped the homie, and they, you know, it was like that kind of thing.
Gotcha. Okay. You know, they always talk about financial issues at Ruthless. You know, that's always like a big thing with Jerry Heller and all that. How did you guys feel about all that? You know, being on Ruthless and everything.
Oh, it's just like being with any other establishment. You know. We don't want to say whether it was good or bad. It was just business.
Yeah.
You know, at that time. And it was something for us to learn from, you know, and that's with any company you have. I don't care if whatever company you're dealing with, you know, we were young.
Yep.
We were young and not dumb, but metaphorically speaking, young, dumb, and full of cum.
But I will say it like this. Cam, I say it like this. I will say this. When you on the streets and somebody offer you a way out, every contract is a good contract.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And you got to mind you, a rap contract wasn't even really considered being something that even people even knew what that meant. So in order to get like a rap record deal as a rapper, no, that wasn't even heard of. But we can say that when we signed our deals, it was fair as like, we just say we look at it like an athlete. Because we look at it real. Even though we street dude, we don't look at it like, you know what I'm saying? We look at it like, okay, here's an opportunity to get out of the streets. And it's 1988, 89. It's not 2025, like how people try to think the way stuff is now. You know everything. You got access to all this information. You don't really, you know? And someone come to you hustling on the streets and they saying, I want to help you make legitimate money. So you take the deal. I think the biggest thing that we learned at Ruthless Records was when we made those deals, everything is renegotiable. Everything can be, you know, turned around after you make a mark. You're not going to come through the door and say, I want these 10 things because I say I want that. You just off the streets. We giving you opportunity to make records, make legitimate money.
Better yourselves.
Yeah, we looked at it like it bettering us. You know what I mean? We didn't. And now when everything unfolded, the funny thing I will say about Ruthless, if you notice to be factual, Ruthless has never been sued. So when people say it's funny money, it's this and that and that and this, no one ever found nothing faulty in a bullshit contract that we all signed.
Yeah.
See, it's different. See, people get the misconception that Cube was getting fucked when he left. No, it just what he saw in the paperwork wasn't fair to him. Everybody else decided to sign the unfair paperwork. When it came to renegotiations, Jerry Heller felt like, we don't want to give you that. We are giving you what you deserve, which is morally not fair, but we signed the paperwork. You get what I'm saying? And all of us had the opportunity to do it. That's no defense to Jerry Heller. That's no knock on Eazy. That's saying like, okay, maybe Eazy as a young executive, like I told you, he was like 24, 25 years old. He couldn't have been no more than 26 years old when all this was going down. He didn't have a clue what was kind of fair to a contract, because you got to realize you're not signing the Temptations after their third album. You signing the dude from the projects that's never made an album before, and it's 1988. You know what I mean? So when people start talking about faulty business, I have to say that we took the opportunity to become who we are.
Yeah.
Because we could still be selling dope, gangbanging, in prison, and you never know about a brother law and cocaine. And so can everybody else in there. From Doc Dre, shout out Doc Dre because he put us into play. Even stuff like that, you probably don't have Ice Cube, the movie star, great filmmaker, hell of a legendary rapper.
None of that.
If he doesn't walk through Ruthless, it's hard for us to say that. You could say Dr. Dre's a billionaire. From what? He could have been still stuck over at Lonzo. Him and Yella could have been still with the Wrecking Crew. And when that folded in what, 87, 88? I mean, 87, 86? So we can't really, it's hard for us all to really in real time now when we look back, knock Ruthless and say Ruthless was these 10 things and wasn't fair business to us because it gave us careers.
Yeah.
You know.
And if we didn't have that platform, you got to realize anything that came off that tree, it wouldn't have never manifested.
That's right. Absolutely.
You wouldn't get no Death Row. You wouldn't get no West Side Connection.
Yeah.
And the list goes on.
Yeah, you wouldn't even get someone who looks at Compton as a form of music like you look at it as being a brilliant thing if that move doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It's just when people talk about certain things, they don't actually champion that and amplify that to the fullest because what Eric was doing was giving everybody an opportunity. Did he know what Jerry Heller was doing wasn't fair? Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. We don't know that. But he gave us an opportunity.
And he gave a lot of, Eric broke the stereotypes and the stigmas. Yeah. He messed with Bloods, Crips, essays at a time when that was unheard of as an executive. You know what I mean? So, to say Ruthless Records, everybody is a lot of people from a speculating point of view.
Yeah.
But I still get my Ruthless statements to this day. Yeah. And there's, I'm not going to put nobody on blast. I'm on more features than anybody in the world. Yeah. And I can't say that about Eric Wright, because he actually gave a fuck about his artists.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Now, it was a little bit different when at the end of the day, Jerry Heller would send me my thing, and he'd be like, well, you rented a car, you did this, you bought some this, and all these expenditures. And you'd be like, man, where's my money? And boo, boo. But that was us learning the game because it was like Disneyland there versus the 360 deals that the corporates are doing now. You talking about fucking people.
Oh, it's criminal. The game is criminal now. Yeah. I don't care what nobody say. I don't care how big these people chains is. It's criminal. Streaming is criminal. I don't mean to talk on that level, but at least I can say one thing. If you sold 1 million records, you got a check. Not if you got 1 million streams, you get an excuse. You know what I mean? That's criminal to me. That millions of people can actually patronize your music in a paid platform and you get minimal. Versus when we were selling records like that, you got a check.
That's why it's hard to go platinum. We from the platinum era.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? When we bust down that check, you know what I mean? It did good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But now, we learn all those elements and we take our independent and we basically follow the same blueprint that Eazy-E have. Yeah. That way, we value ourselves because, we've been fortunate to do it so long, 30 plus years, and we touch the four corners of the earth. Now we get a chance, as an independent to not be stopped, so to speak. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this.
Yeah.
And see, it's the same format that Ruthless had because he gave us so much creative room to do our thing.
There. Yeah.
He didn't never say, well, you should do this. No, he said, Hutch, go handle it. Coke, go handle it.
That's right.
And we handled that.
Yeah, I think that it's funny, like people going to what you're saying, like people think like it was a faulty thing going on over there. One thing I can say about Eazy-E is Eazy-E never wavered, and if Eazy-E was wrong, he made it right.
Yeah.
That's how Eazy was.
That's why I was saying when you asked me the question.
He made it right, yeah.
When you asked the question, because we always get asked that question.
Absolutely.
Was it good or bad? No, I say it's business.
It's business.
So really what I'm saying, when you learn from something, it's great business.
That's right. Yeah.
Because here we are years later, and because of that experience that we had with them, it taught us so much about points, mechanicals, royalty, sub-publishing, licensing sync fees, sponsorship.
Yeah.
If we didn't ever have those experiences, it's the same thing. Right. Cube wouldn't be able to do what he doing. Dre wouldn't been able to do what he been doing.
Yeah.
Snoop, 50 Cent, Eminem. They all learn. It's cool to talk about the branches because you can't take nothing away from all those cats. But at the same time, you always go back. You got to go back to the root.
Yeah.
Not just the branches.
I just don't. I just don't think Ruthless. I think Ruthless have a stigma that everybody got fucked at Ruthless, and it's just, to me, it's not true. I didn't see everybody's contract, but I know we all signed a contract that I guess we got what we signed. You know what I mean? And that, see, fucking you means that I signed this contract and you said, hey man, in the contract it said I was supposed to get $10, but you only gave me $6. It doesn't say I signed for $6 and I talked to such and such that signed to Sony over there and he getting $10 and you giving me $6. Why you fucking me? No, you signed a contract that says I owe you $6. You know what I mean? That's why I always value it. I value it as being like an athlete sometimes. When Scottie Pippen was playing with Jordan, he was like the number 2 player in the game, but he was like he was like a 200 lowest paid player. You know what I mean? He signed that contract, so he can't come in the office and say, hey, you fucking me. He can say, hey, this contract is not fair. I play this and play at this level. I should be getting paid what the top 10 players getting paid. And I think that's what, and I can say strongly, that's what it was at Ruthless. That's where the funking went on. That's where everything collided. That's where everything fell apart. Because when it came time to make it right, they didn't feel like it was ever going to get right keeping Jerry Heller in the scenario. Nobody felt that it was going to be right keeping Jerry in the scenario. That's not a kick on Jerry, because on another thing is, it's devil. It's a double-edged sword right there. Without Jerry,
you got to play the devil's advocate.
Without Jerry, guess what? You don't know us.
You don't know Eazy.
You don't know Eazy.
You don't know NWA.
You don't know
JJ
NWA.
Bad.
That's right. You don't know these people. He the one who brought us to the forefront of the music industry in that era. It wasn't friendly for, now it's cool. People can do Snapchat, Instagram, whatever it is, and become a TikTok superstar. But back then you had to have one of those people that were in there to usher you in. And Jerry Heller was our usher.
Sometimes I think people just forget, like, get on.
That's it. Yeah.
And then complain or then worry about
renegotiate. Get on. You just saying it. Get on and then renegotiate.
I think a lot of people, egos mess with them.
Egos too, yeah. Yep. But, they feel like they're worth this much, and they might be worth that much, but they're not seeing the big picture. Just get in the door.
Yeah, if you sign the basic contract and you actually blow up like that, that's what Suge taught us, honestly. Suge gets a bad rap for a lot of stuff. I'm gonna tell you what was great about Suge. Suge exposed us to it wasn't fair. You understand? When he was working around Bobby Brown and how Bobby Brown was caking, he looked at how we was doing it and looking like, hey man, I'm looking at what's going on. Y'all not getting treated fair over here. The contracts that y'all signed is not matching up to where you got the level that you guys are playing at now. You got to go in and fix this, because if not, you'll have a whole career of taking shorts. That's what he exposed. Being that he was a big intimidating dude at the time to everybody, but he really meant well. When he went against the grain up against Eric and Jerry Heller, because he was trying to show us that it's not fair. So go renegotiate. We all went back and renegotiated because we had to stay. Yeah. Dre and Doc decided to leave because it wasn't fair to them. They felt like they'll have a better run with actually going and starting Death Row. We stayed and just renegotiated all our stuff, and we had a healthy run at Ruthless Records until Eazy died. Until Eazy passed on. Rest in peace, Eazy E too. Yeah, but yeah.
How much did you guys actually get to work with Dr. Dre at Ruthless?
Oh, well, when I came to Ruthless with Living Like Hustlers, it was 80% done. I worked with him because it was done in the 8-track and a 16-track studio back then. Eric wanted us to bump everything up to 24. So I had to bring all my crates in, put everything into the machines, and me and Dre re-recorded everything on 24. So I worked with him every day. Every day I studied with him close to 2 years, you know.
You produced too, right?
I produced all of the Above the Law stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's me.
And you know, in that time,
Yeah.
all the cocaine stuff too.
Yeah, all the cocaine stuff.
So all that stuff like No Pain,
Yeah,
No
No
Gain.
Gain, it's me. Yeah, everything.
One producer. One
Yeah.
Quincy Jones.
Yep. Above the Law albums are solely produced by me, and they're written and composed between Kokane, Cam G, DJ Chaos. Go back with the sack. Yep. But
What was
they're
your
all
guys' like
self-produced.
relationship like with NWA?
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you guys feel when Ice Cube left?
Terrible. Because Cube was the first person that we met, you know, and ran with, you know. Well, he kind of like brought us into the whole circle of like, oh yeah, because him and Law were best friends. And so Law kind of brought us in and he brought us to Dre and Eazy. But when we would hang out, it would be Cube. Cube would always be around. He'd come out to Pomona and hang out with us and all that. You know, when they was developing, when like Gangsta was out and all that was, when they was developing Straight Outta Compton and all that, they would come out. Him and Law would come out and kick it with us in Pomona before it hit hard, you know. So he was the first person, and then we ended up meeting Dr. Dre when we finished our demo. We ended up meeting Dr. Dre and Eazy, and then everything started, you know, coming together. But the cool thing about us at Ruthless Records, we were like a family because it was just us. It was never the people that were in the studio. Like people would be saying, "Oh, we got Yes Man." Well, the Yes Man was us. We all we partied together. We threw events together. We like Super Bowl parties and all that. That we did all that stuff together, you know. So we were very close. That's why on the intro of Niggas for Life, it's me, Cam G, and Coca and Ren. That's why it's like that. We all, because we did everything together. It's like we can't put it. That's why they're on our record like they are. Miss LA's on there. The DOC's on there because he wrote Eric part on the last song. So he was in the studio with us every day, you know. Doc was in the studio and Dre, all them were around us. That was our circle. That was our super circle. Yeah, DOC. At the time it was Doc, Warren, and Dre. We used to do everything together, dog. Like I'm talking about everything you could name. Picnics, bar mitzvahs, whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean? We did everything together. So yeah, we're really close. You know, really, really close. Yeah, that it's crazy because when we was causing so much havoc, they used to call us NWA henchmen.
Yeah, henchmen.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys worked with Warren G and everything.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So is he the one that brought Snoop around you guys?
Absolutely.
Because I remember seeing that Snoop
yeah
was actually trying to get signed to Eazy at first.
He was trying to get signed through us.
He was going to Compton or something.
He was
looking for Eazy.
No, that ain't never happened. I don't know where that come from. Warren used to stay with us.
1989.
Yeah, Warren used to live with us.
Me and Warren.
They used to both. We had a production house
in Colton.
In Colton, we had a production house in Colton.
Colton, right here.
Yeah, we had a production house because they didn't want us in the city. They didn't want us in the city, so they kept us outside of the city because we caused so much. We were like the young, like how people. That's why I don't really knock cats now and there because I remember when I was like 19, 20 in the business, and I was like wilding all over the place, fighting, doing kind of crazy stuff. So they moved us out of our environment, and we had a production house out in Colton, and Warren came to stay with us and Kokane came to stay with us at the production house that we had. And
Apartment 187.
And it was called Apartment 187. That's right. And that's when we started developing. At the time, we were finishing Living Like Hustlers and starting to develop, you know, the sound that we call G-Funk. We starting to develop that, and they fell under that. And Warren used to always talk about, man, y'all gotta meet Snoopy, man. Yeah, I'm telling you, Snoopy. Slim. Yeah, he can rap. Yeah, Slim. Yeah, he called him Slim. He can rap his ass off. So once we got our legs up under us, and Living Like Hustlers came out, and it blew hard, we started working on Black Mafia Life, and he bought Snoop to a studio, and we was like, yeah, we heard him he freestyled for us, incredible. And so then it was like, we gonna sign him. He was gonna go through Law House, Ruthless, like that. And that's what he came to. He bought him and he bought Nate Dogg.
Yeah, Nate Dogg.
Yeah, at the time they were trying to develop
the armed service.
Yeah, when he got out the Marines,
yeah,
or
the
Marines,
Marines.
Navy, one of them. Yeah, and this was like 80. This was like 90, late 90, like the winter of 90, like that.
So Dre had already left at this time, or
Dre was about
there?
to. Dre was still there because we was finishing Black Mafia Life, and they were doing Niggas for Life.
Even for a second.
Yeah. So we were doing both those records, so they was in there when we were doing that. Warren and Snoop and Nate was working with us first, around us all this time, you know. And then when NWA broke up, that's when they did the 213 demo. They played it at a bachelor party. Then me and Dre was still tight. Me and Dre used to still deal with each other because we was bros. So he pulled up on me. He was like, look, check it out, Hutch. I heard you've been working with this kid, Snoop. I want to sign him. What's up? What you think? What should I do? I was like, shoot, kid can go. Dude went in here. He went on. I played the track and he went crazy on it. I told him, you should do that. He the next. You know, from there,
absolutely.
From there, at that time, they were working on the Deep Cover soundtrack. At the time, we both was managed. Me and Coca was managed by Suge. So that's how we got the song "Nigga Slick Nigga" on the Deep Cover soundtrack. So we all were still, we all still was in cahoots together, and that was the birth of Snoop. You know,
Eazy he didn't like get a hold of Snoop. He didn't hear of Snoop yet, or
no? Eazy never even knew about Snoop to the degree, because how we would channel stuff would be, if I bought it, I develop it, then I show it to you. That's how it works. Just like I told you a story about Kokane. I said, I got this kid Kokane. They said, okay, here goes some bread, do a 3-song demo. I went in the meeting, played a 3-song demo. He said, I want to meet the kid. I want to sign him. That's it. And that would have been the process for Snoop. We done went in, did the demo. I would have presented it to him. He would have said, what you want to do, Hutch? I think we can go, and we would have went. But yeah.
That close. So yeah. Snoop almost was ruthless.
Almost.
He almost was.
Almost ruthless.
Because there was no, what people try to act like that Ruthless wasn't a powerhouse. It was. It was a powerhouse. It's the only reason why, and people might take it like how they don't want to take it, because they don't realize there is no situation that we call Death Row without the success of Ruthless Records. That's real. Ruthless had sold, probably, if you want to say in the modern day of what people will say as being like hundreds of millions of records, they had already done that.
Right.
Before 1991. There were already, everything that we put out was gold and platinum. Everything we put out was in the top 10, if not the top 50, 20, or number one. You know what I mean? People seem to forget because of how everything transitioned and it took off to another level. But when rap got where it got to, by the time you saw Death Row, it was household at that time, probably. It wasn't as underground as it was when the Chronic came out, hip hop was out the closet, basically, you know what I'm saying? Versus when NWA and when we were doing at Ruthless Records, it was kind of underground, and it was doing gangster rap. But you got to realize, with no radio play, it was gold and platinum records on the wall. Those records didn't go gold and platinum after the fact. They were gold and platinum in the life of them, That's what a lot of people don't realize. They think it got hot when it got hot. No, those records were plaquing back then. So when you look at when they decided to start Death Row already had a platform already, as people will say now. It already had a platform already to say Dr. Dre was one of the most probably acclaimed producers, accomplished producers in that era in hip hop. Because in Ruthless, he had had 5 records that were platinum, and a couple of them were multi-platinum before Death Row.
Right. Yeah, Dre was. He had a long run.
Yeah. And it's funny how people don't give the credit to Ruthless being the springboard to that. They always seem to start right there and be the greatness of, and kind of take away from what Eric developed in, because without the Ruthless Records run, I don't really think no one is standing where they're standing at. I'm just being honest. I was there. I wasn't mopping the floor at Ruthless Records. I was producing records with them. I was writing songs with them. So I know what's up. When the guy just standing around, peeking around the corner, I was on the floor with him, you know.
So you guys are Ruthless. You know, everything is going good. You guys are selling a shitload of records.
Mm-hmm.
And now Dr. Dre decides to leave.
Well,
what was that like?
Man, I mean, honestly, it's devastating.
Yeah, it was.
Because Dre was the he was like Yoda or whatever. He was like the, you know, he was like the person that we
Jedi
all.
Knight.
Yeah, he was like the person that was like the, I would say, on a calm level, he was kind of the calm in the storm. Because Dre was always one way with everybody. You know what I mean? He always was like, man, you know, get yours, man. Like, you deserve this, you deserve that. He always was like that. So when he left, because I spent a lot of time with Dre and Eric, you know. So for me, I was torn. Because I primarily was a person that when they were going through whatever they were going through for us, like trying to develop things, they'd be like, Hutch, what you think? Young Gunner, what you think? Young Gunner, what you think? You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, I think this. We should move like this. We should move like that. I always used to be in the mix of what decisions that they were trying to make at Ruthless Records a lot of times. You know, since I befriended both of them the first day I walked through the doors, and they like respected my lineage and how I looked at music. So it crushed me, man. Honestly, it crushed me, because it was two of my partners that I work with every day. On the phone, they would call my mom's house out in Pomona, like, what you think? What you think? Man, come through, check this out. Hey man, we going through this. What you think? You know what I mean? And losing that for me, kind of like I lost something, a stability in my music career, you know, at that point. Like, it's like one, you know, kind of like I became lopsided, you know, because I'm like, why y'all at odds? And I used to, you know, I got into a big argument with Eazy about Dr. Dre, you know, and he got mad at me, but it was about me and him being friends, and, you know, it was about us being friends, and while we going through this over some fucking money. Yeah. And he was like, man, it ain't like you think. Dre like my brother, man. It's just, you know, Suge getting in the middle, and, you know, and he showed me some stuff. He's like, man, I would never do. It's just, he said, I can't play that where another dude is talking to me in my brother's behalf. I don't like that. You know what I mean? We men. And it was like, it was so powerful. I was like, I understand. And then from there, I just left it alone. I'm friends with Dre to this day. And I just left that alone. I just left it alone because it was hard, man. It was really hard for us. You know?
So you guys feel like Suge was like the main guy that divided everything.
Yeah, but I think Suge was right. I think that we should have probably gotten rid of Jerry Heller, and everything would still be the same.
Did Jerry Heller actually get fired before Eazy passed away?
Did.
Yeah, he did.
Yes.
Okay.
I remember walking into a room, and usually walk into a room, you know, Jerry come out, and be, you know, he'd be jiffery, you know. So I walked into Jerry Heller's office, and he was like, man, I'm not gonna be around here for too long, and
yeah.
And you guys are great, you know, giving us that victory speech.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. And Eazy was just, you know, at that time, he
didn't want nothing to do with him.
He was super hot. One was in another room, one was in another room. Eazy was like, man, shit.
Yeah.
Because Eazy was going to bring it back together. He was going to put NWA back together.
Yeah, honestly, he saw something was wrong, and he just he had an epiphany. He was like, man, I'm not. He would be calling. He'd call me and be like, "Hey man, oh dude, don't. We not going that way no more. We not doing that no more." So kind of like all Houston down, all communications down with that dude. You know, we're not doing it with him no more. So we wouldn't answer the phone. And he called me one time like, "I don't know what Eric's going through. I didn't do anything." I was like, "You need to take that up with Eric." You know, just could you talk to him, Hutch? I'm like, "No, I can't." You know, my loyalty is to Eric. You know, and he realized when Eric talked to me, he said, man, look, man, that's over with. I'm finna put NWA back together, and we gonna all come back together as a unit, and we gonna move forward without Jerry Heller.
Just imagine.
He told me,
Just imagine if Eazy was around, though.
Yeah, exactly.
We often wonder if Eazy was around, things would have been totally different.
Oh yeah.
Period.
I know that for a fact.
I mean, you got to realize that, you know, I mean, it's something great that spawned out of that. You know what I mean? But, you know, we wish that Eazy, of course, you know, didn't have to go out that way.
Absolutely.
Because he has some big plans.
Yeah.
I mean, Ruthless Records would have been Ruthless, but they also would have been Death Row too.
Yeah.
In that sense.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people would have migrated over there. You got NWA, you got Bubba Law, DLC as a writer. You most likely would have Snoop and Dog Pound, and the list goes on. Tupac, because Tupac was always around above the law and always around Eazy-E.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I often wonder if Eazy would have lived. You know what I mean? Things would have been very different. But we still get a chance to share these stories with you and fill in the gaps, because people don't know we were not only just disciples of those times, but we were real participants. I was a writer. You know, I had helped write Appetite of Destruction. I wrote Eazy-E's 10 Gangster Commandments. Dr. Dre, 100 Miles, and he did part 100 Miles and Running. So when we say it was really a family type of scenario, it genuinely was, until, you know, the righteous poison.
We think like, you know, I was on the contrary, after the fact, when you talk about Suge, like, was a bad thing. It wasn't if he exposed the truth. I think a lot of people, the lines get blurred when people be like, oh, it's bad for you to know, oh, you the person that exposed it, so that's a bad thing. Is it really? Is it really a bad thing when someone exposes the truth? No. Now, how it all fell out, it fell out after everything had broke apart, but in order to get it together, guess what showed up? The truth.
Yeah.
The truth about how things were being done wasn't fair. And Eric saw it at the end.
Yeah, Eric saw, he definitely saw, he was like, oh, okay, Suge and different other things like
was
that.
Right.
You was right. You could have went about it different.
Yeah.
But I know what's happening now.
Exactly. He didn't, and it's funny, people be like, oh, well, Suge must have been at odds with him. No, what his problem is that he got mad because he couldn't see it. You know, like when you homies, it's like, this fool don't see this dude is not right by us. So they just went on their own way, and that was the end of it. That split the clique up, and yeah, man, like you say, we can say it real. It was devastating. It didn't take away from Ruthless success like how people think. We went on and did bigger. We end up, our biggest record came after Dre left. Some of our biggest masterpieces came after he left. You know what I mean? So the label didn't stop because of that. I'm talking about my feelings for us, our brotherhood, our kindred, you know, the homies being together, making magic, making music. That's what's devastating. Yeah. Not that we lacked in being a success at Ruthless Records. We went on and continued to do great things.
Yeah, definitely, man. You know, I mean, Bone.
Yeah.
You know, Compton City G's.
Yeah.
Uncle Sam's Curse, Black
Uncle
Superman.
Sam's Curse.
All the stuff you guys.
Instrumental. You look at Will X. You look at Will X1. They Black Eyed Peas. They was called the Ant Band Clan.
Yep. Bro, they came through the blood of Abraham. Yep, they came up through the blood of Abraham. They came up through all of the things, and they were signed when they was like 12, 13 years old.
Yeah, definitely, man. What you guys talk about Suge? You know, Suge was kind of in the middle of making all that happen, man.
Yeah.
You mentioned you were managed by Suge.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was regular. It was cool because the coolest thing about Suge is Suge always believed in doing the right thing at that time. Like, if it's fair, we should have it. You know what I mean? It didn't matter, because a lot of things that we look at in the music industry that he felt was wrong was how people could smile in your face and then do something else.
Yeah.
He didn't stand for that shit.
Nah. If you told him something, you know, a lot of people do that in Hollywood. Oh, I'm going to get at you. I'm going to put you on. Nah. He had them old school dick
Dick
Griffey type of
Lonnie Simmons.
Lonnie Simmons, like, okay, you ain't gonna play with my peoples. I've been hospitable, but now you playing with my peoples, you playing with my money. I'm gonna fuck you up.
Yeah.
But that's what we needed, because nowadays people became cream puffs to another, you know, or to a situation. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And he didn't have that. You can say a lot of things about Suge, but that's the contributing reason why Death Row did what it did, because he put the smash down.
Absolutely, yeah. And he was smashing for us. And the only reason why we stopped being managed by Suge, because there was a conflict between us being at Ruthless and them having Death Row. It's like saying, like, he runs this franchise, but he's managing people that's on another franchise. It would have never worked. It'd have been a conflict.
Yeah,
because contractually, we were in our sophomore. We was about to do, at the time we were working on our sophomore album, coming out of it, and then it broke up, and he was managing the DOC, Above the Law, and Kokane at the time.
Yeah.
Then he started managing Dre, and then that's when all the dominoes fell. And then we had a meet with our attorneys in Ruthless Records, and they said, well, y'all contract is too new to leave, because what people don't know about is the defection of Ruthless Records. The defection of Ruthless Records is all the artists are going to leave with Suge and Dr. Dre. And that's going to be Death Row. Because
wasn't no dog pound around.
None of that. Because none of us wanted to deal with Jerry Heller at that time, and Eric still wanted to deal with him. The difference became, and everybody knows this, that are around the table. It's not like Eric didn't know this. It was not behind nobody's back. Let me explain that to you. It was straight up. We leaving, and deal with it if you still want to be with dude. If not, we'll decipher it from there. Okay, cool. All right. Everybody sat down, had their different meetings with our attorneys, and said, here's why you can't leave. Here's why if you leave, you'll never make another record in the next 10 years. Well, we fresh off of two number ones, Above the Law, fresh off two number ones, a record damn near going gold at the time. And we talking about leaving. He said, you haven't even honored a third of your contract yet. He barely was putting the record out.
Yeah. 91.
He couldn't leave at all. He was going to be stuck anyway, or never make a record if we leave. So legally, we just decided as a business entity to stay at Ruthless. And we had to fire Suge at that point.
Yeah.
You know.
I remember the day he walked in, and you know, it was like, nah, we're going to rekindle this business relationship.
Yep.
You know, and usually Suge, if you tell him something like that, which I heard in many situations, I'm going to plead the fifth, I can't say certain things.
There we go.
But, you know, it'd be some, you know, niggas would get done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he had respect for Above the Law and Kokane.
We call cut from the same cloth.
You know what I mean? He had real, genuine respect, you know. You know,
because he really
no
came
busters,
to help us.
You know what I mean?
That's what let me know that Suge really wanted to help us, because he understood that, like, I can't hold y'all career up because y'all want to rock with me.
Yeah.
He was like, man, shit. He was like, hey, you got to look out for you. Y'all got family. Y'all got all that, man. I understand. And we stayed tight.
Yeah. We parted in the most positive fashion.
Yeah, because he understood. Suge really came to help us. You know what I mean? Suge really was like, man, I just was trying to help y'all, man. You know what I mean? Like, my bad. I didn't know that y'all was going to be, you know, trapped in something, and y'all was going to get the ultimatum to, like, have to stall your career to roll in the sunset with me. So there it was.
One thing I think a lot of people don't really know too much about is that Tupac actually hung around you guys quite a bit back then.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. He was the first, like, well, how that all happened was H. and Gregory, which is their manager, used to be our road manager. And we used to do a lot of shows with Digital back then. We was coming up. And we just started befriending Pac and Mun. Mun and Pac used to hang around us all the time. We go to Oakland. I would stay at Mun's house, that kind of thing, you know. And
Money B.
Yeah, Money B, yeah, from Digital. Yeah, we had hung out so much. What happened was how we really got really tight with Pac. We used to run around, do everything together all the time. When he was with Digital Underground, he hadn't even made a record yet. He only had one verse on a song, on a record, same song with Digital. But we hung out with Digital so much, we just kind of started, you know, hanging out after the fact. So we started working on the Black Mafia Life record, and we couldn't, Shock G got trapped in New York mixing a record or something. And we had already booked the time to do Call It What You Want. Mun and Pac came to the studio that day. And it was like, okay, Mun here. So we was waiting for Shock to fly in, but he said, oh, I got caught up. And, you know, we had studio time. It was like, man, we was on a deadline to finish it, basically. At that point, I was like, well, he's like, well, Pac here. He was like, oh, yeah, the little homie that be hanging out with us, I like his verse on the same song. Like, he hadn't made a record at all at this time. And he was like, well, I told him to go in the booth. Give me what you got. He wrote some shit down. He's like, this is what I got, homie. Like, I was like, go in the booth. Killed it. He took off, and then from there, shoot, 6, 7, 8 months later, his record come out, Black Mafia Life record come out, he exploded. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He had never made a record. He hadn't even finished his own record before he got on the record with us. Yeah, and he was our partner. It's me, Cam G, Kokane, Mo, Live Squad, Mo Preem, Rated, Stretch, and his brother from the Live Squad. And Naughty by Nature, Tretch. That's the original Thug Life. All of those MCs are the original Thug Life. It's not the group with Psych, and it's them plus the vocals from Above the Law and Live Squad. One group of people. That's the original Thug Life, which was gonna be the Thug Life album after they put that group Thug Life album out. It was gonna be the Click Thug Life, which is all of us. Yeah, because we all ran the streets together. We was like the young hip hop scene in LA back then. Yeah. So yeah, that's how deep Pac been to my mom's house. Pac been to, yeah. Pac
was family. Yeah, you know,
Pac's family.
We was actually, you know, right before, you know, he got up out of here. I was doing a lot of stuff with him. Me and Spice One hooked up with him. Yep. So I'll tell you a funny story. Rolling down the street, and we staying at the Madrian. We just, me and Banks Too Short, Spice One, just got through doing something with Ice-T. You know, he lived up in the hills. So we go down the street, and we see this bald head with a convertible in the back. So we pull around the side, and we was like, oh, what up, Pac? He was like, nigga, you know, because Pac was always animated to see people he had love for, and vice versa.
Absolutely.
So we go to his house. It's off Sherman Oaks. I remember like it's yesterday. That's when I met some of the outlaws.
Yeah.
Gaddafi,
Eazy,
all them.
Eazy, yeah.
And I was on the piano playing that old school song we did. Sometimes I feel like my day is coming. Won't you free my mind?
Yeah.
Free my mind. And you know, Pac always liked that type of songs.
Yeah.
You know, same thing with Above the Law. He was inspired because we would write those type of songs.
Yeah.
That life and death.
Reflection, life and death.
Yeah. So he said, nigga, let's go to the Can-Am studio. So it took us like an hour to get there because he was on the phone arguing with Quincy Jones' daughter. It was in a heated conversation. I can't stand it. So we go up there and
Kadada Jones.
Yeah. We go up there, and the first song that we did for his One Nation was a song called Fortune and Fame. Fortune and fame, something we all adore, something we dying for, stuck in this game, you know. And it was crazy to see Pac because we already know what type. He was a genius when it comes to the pen, period. He was a real poet.
Yeah.
But the engineer was 2 seconds on getting his ass beat because he kept fucking up. And we was like, nah, what's happening, Pac? Like, this motherfucker got one more time to get it right. I'm gonna beat his ass. He was that serious about his music and getting that work done. And I'm like, we could take our time. Yeah. But see, Pac already had it inside his spirit that, hey, I don't have no time.
You don't have no time. Yeah.
I gotta hurry up and get this shit done. So the next day we got the song done. The next day we go back to the Jim Belushi movie, which is called The Grid or something.
Yeah, Gridlock.
Yep. And I met Jim Belushi, crazy motherfucker. We smoking big weed. And he said, I'm about to head out to New York. Yeah. And after I come back, you know, also he told Hutch, after I come back, I want you and Spice One to go to Vegas with me You know what I mean? Because we was really gonna do that One Nation thing with him.
Yeah.
And
I
at that
met him in
time,
New York.
I couldn't go because me and Hutch had a deal after leaving Ruthless Records after Eric passed at Scotty Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
That was also with DJ Yella in NWA. We had a song
Right.
called "This Is for the E."
Easy.
So we had to kick back. We had a song called "Piratas Only." We couldn't go nowhere.
Yeah.
And then the next day we heard the news, and I thought they was playing. I was like,
It's crazy.
y'all playing,
It's
man.
crazy about that week. That week when he got to New York, the MTV thing, we met out there.
Right.
You know, because I was finishing the deal that I was finishing that first album on Tommy Boy,
Right.
Time Reveal for Above the Law, and we went to the MTV Awards. And the story that they tell, that's I'm gonna say it on here. The story about the Nas, that's that same night. What happened in the park?
Yeah.
I was there.
Oh, you were there?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Everybody came in with Death Row East signs. We was chopping it up. Boom, 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 boom. He was like, dang, man, I was just doing this work. He was talking about what they was doing. He said, man, I came by y'all studio in Inglewood, but y'all wasn't there. I said, yeah, we there, but I'm out here negotiating this deal. He said, yeah, I seen your engineer. I didn't see your engineer car, so I just kept it moving. He was like, man, we got to do something, whatever. But I'm going to Vegas. I need you to come out there with me so we can, chop it up. We ain't really sat down and did nothing since, the shit, had went down. He was like, I was like, well, cool, whatever. And then somebody said, hey, man, Nas over there. He said, oh, shit, I need to holler at Nas. Boom. Put his plate down. Went over there. He said, man, I just wanna say, man, I ain't got no problem with you. He extended his hand like that. Pac pushed the shit out of his hand. He said, fuck you, motherfucker. I dish you, that fat ass motherfucking Biggie, that bitch ass nigga Jay-Z. And I think he said somebody else, Mobb Deep or something. He was going nuts, what he said. Nas just said, I ain't got no problem with you. I ain't got no problem with you. And turned around and walked the other way. See my own eyes, homie. I was there. I was in the pack where all these other people was with him, all of the Death Row East dudes that you just brought the cat name up, rest in peace. What's his name? It's from his neighborhood in New York. The outlaw cat. Gaddafi's people was with him. It was me, Suge. Snoop was like in the foregrounds of it, but he was close enough to see what's going on. And me and Snoop was like, man, you see, because we thought we weren't even gonna make it out of New York when it happened. But Nas didn't do nothing, Now, at the show, I don't know what happened at the show where people be talking about what happened backstage there, but I was at the park.
So they never had like a real conversation and kind of squash things?
Squashed?
From your perspective?
I didn't see, dog, listen, I didn't see no squashing. If he want to think in his head that he squashed something, cool. But I saw Pac smash him so hard that one time me and Snoop was in the studio working on, I think he was working on the last meal or something. And he was like, we was smoking. He was like, could you believe we was there that night? That was a trip. We was in New York. And Pac just smashed them dudes like that. I was like, yeah, I couldn't believe it either. I thought we was going to have to go that night for real. He smashed him, Cam. He smashed him, yo. Like, I'm talking about, not like, I ain't trying to say like, don't get me wrong. I think Nas was more about the business than being in a confrontation with Pac. Pac was on some, I'm going to go through you. I got an issue. He stuck, that's where his mind said, he didn't say it's cool. He didn't say none of that. He might say, well, cool then, nigga. He might have said that, but when he stepped to him, it was aggression. I'm being real. I was there. I ain't trying to, like I said, I don't want to be a person because I'm not into all of this. I'm not into nothing. I'm into the truth, fam. I'm into the truth. I don't care what nobody, I was there. I ain't trying to say nobody's a buster, or they scary, or trying to be some hot shit that's online or something, saying some shit, but I was there. And he didn't do nothing. And Pac was coming aggressive. He wasn't coming to say it's cool, homie.
Was it like people say, like a bunch of dudes on each side?
Yes.
Okay. And
it was a bunch of people on each side. I don't know who was with him or whatever on that tip, but nothing happened.
And okay, so one of the things that the people always say is that when they left, Pac told Suge, like, I'm gonna take him off because he dissed him on the song The Realest Shit I Ever Wrote.
Yeah.
Did you hear any of that or see any of that?
No, because like I said, after because this was the next couple of days is when the shooting happened. Like this was like on a Thursday night. Then Friday came and they flew out. It was like that. Flew out to Vegas. So I didn't see them because I was in meetings and everything after that. I was just at the altercation, but I could clearly see that he had an issue with Nas. It wasn't cool, y'all. I'm sorry, it wasn't cool. I don't care what nobody have to say. There ain't no kick on. Don't say I said somebody a buster or none of that. But Pac wasn't cool about that shit. That's why when people do all these cover songs and Pac shout outs, he wasn't cool with them people. Okay? He died a couple of days after that. I'm just telling you.
Yeah,
he wasn't cool with
a lot of people.
He wasn't cool with them people.
People claim.
Like, exactly. He wasn't cool with them.
That's their claim, though.
I'm just telling you. That's my homie. That was my homie. I was there. You know. He was not cool about that shit.
Okay.
Yep. Sorry, y'all. He wasn't. You know. Sometimes you gotta respect what a dinosaur bring to the table, homie. That's what I am. Walking dinosaur. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you gotta respect that, homie. You know.
Real is real.
No, that's real shit. Okay. How do you feel about the stories that come out about that day? Because I've seen Snoop actually give two different accounts
Right.
of what happened that day,
Okay.
and then you had Nas's brother Jungle give an account of that day, which was like
inside. Yeah.
You know, his side of the story was like they got the better half of that situation.
Yeah. Well. It's his microphone. This is his minute. You know what I'm saying? It's his moment. It's his microphone and his moment. So I ain't there because I wasn't there to see what happened at the show, in the show. So I can't say that didn't happen at the show. I can only talk about what happened in the park. You know, that I do know that happened. You know, he was at odds with them. So people can say whatever they want to. I can say it wasn't resolved. It wasn't peace. You know. I don't know who got the best at the actual show, but I know at the after, it was no drama at it. But it was a conversation, and Pac still was upset about dealing with them. So to what level he might have been upset, I don't know that to that degree. But I know he still wasn't fucking with it like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because with Jay them at the time, they didn't want no parts of none of it. Because I remember when Pac was like, man, you seen Jay-Z and them in here? I was like, yeah, they was in here before, but I think they left. They left when all that ruckus started. They was like, we out of here. Like, you know what I mean? They was gone. But they was there primarily the whole show. But when that cracked off, they was out of there.
That night?
That night, yeah, they were there. They weren't at the after party, but at the show, because me and Eazy Steam from Tommy Boy sat right next to Dame Dash and Jay-Z at the time. You know what I mean? And then when the ruckus started happening, they just left up out of there. Because it was doing like a break. It was like a TV break when it happened. And they was like, you know how people get up and leave and do the war show when the TV break come? Mm-hmm. They get up and leave. They left. They had left. Like, they ain't want no parts of that shit. When it was like, not saying that they was like spooked or nothing, but they was like, they was out of there.
So something happened during the award show too?
Yeah, because that's what I believe Jungle trying to say.
Okay.
Because nothing happened at the after thing. Only thing happened is what I just told you. When him and Nas had a back and forth. And Pac was just telling him like he not fucking with him. He didn't never say his piece. He said he wasn't. His end thing was, I ain't fucking with you. I diss Biggie. I diss Jay-Z. I diss them fools mob. He started, it was a list of names that he was rambling off of. He was like, man, well, yeah, all right then. It's just like that, it's like that. Nas turned around and walked the other way. That's what I saw. I didn't see nobody shake hands and pound and hug, and I didn't see none of that. Nor did I hear that somebody got beat up and at the show and all, and I didn't see that at the show. I don't know if it did happen or not. I'm not gonna say it didn't happen or it did happen, but I didn't see it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Kokane, man, I seen a story about you possibly working with Michael Jackson.
Yeah, well, actually, it wasn't working with Michael Jackson. Code 187 had sampled the Billie Jean beat.
Yeah.
And we were label mates at the time because Ruthless had a distribution deal with Epic Records.
Yeah.
So he was on
his
Epic
first album.
Records. And we wanted to use the Billie Jean sample. So Michael Jackson knew Hutch and myself
He knew
and
his
Dre.
uncle. He's really good with my uncle
Yeah.
and my father.
Yeah,
They were
so
friends. Yeah.
He
okay.
knew he wanted to use it, but see, people say what they want about Michael, but Michael was so gangster. He said, "I'll let you use it, but Dre, you have to give me whoop 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 whoop, and you don't get this whoop 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 whoop." So that kind of left a bad taste in Dre, all of us, not really us, but
Yeah.
you know, they were pushing to use that Billie Jean beat.
The stronghold
Yeah,
work, like the stronghold work, you can't. It's like one of those things. Like the label was trying to stronghold work to clear it.
right, and it just
Like
didn't
make
go
you
down.
commit to like doing all this other stuff for just a sample. Nah, we good.
Yeah.
So he wanted what six beats from Dre, right?
He wanted like
And
what?
all the publishing, right?
Yeah, and all
It
the
was some-
publishing.
It was something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo, that's a lot, man, for one sample.
Michael gangster with
But
it.
it's Billie Jean.
That's Billie
It was
Jean,
Billie
homie.
Jean, though.
One of the
And they
biggest
told
Michael
us-
Jackson records.
And they said
ever.
we could get it first. They said we could get it, and then when they saw the play, I guess the label tried to like leverage it. You know what I mean? Like it's it's like saying like Mike is like, oh yeah, I'm cool with it, and the label like, no, we can use this as leverage. You know what I mean? Like it's terrible. You know what I mean? Like when I say we came up in the Jim Crow hip hop era, you know, we really came up in the Jim Crow hip hop era. They would try anything on a rapper, steadily use a rapper, but then treat him like he wasn't shit. You know, they want to get paid from him, exploit him, but then don't want to give him a Grammy or don't want to show him on the Grammys. They want to get paid from it, but then don't want you to play your music or make you change your name or wear this outfit or look like this and don't put you on the cover and you know that type of thing. It's like a form of Jim Crow, you know, to where we just wanted to do music and the music came from us. So they try to leverage. It's like they try to leverage something for a sample. That's like, come on.
Nah, we was like, that's all right.
Yeah, we cool.
Pass.
Yeah.
Eazy was the first person to really work with Chicano rappers and sign
Which is
them
dope. Yeah.
to Ruthless. You know, I believe he was working on like a Chicano rap division.
Yeah,
Ruthless?
we were.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were. When Eric got at me, because he got at me at the time I was Eazy-E's liaison, he said, look, we want to support Chicano music because they're our biggest fans. Like he did all of his market research on it. He's like, they're huge fans. He said, we got to give back to the culture because they support our culture at Ruthless Records. It was really more so that than anything. And then we signed Kid Frost and then we signed Brownside. You know, I produced both of those artists, you know. Yeah, I produced
produced the
Eastside
albums?
Drama.
Rest
yeah,
in peace, Toker, Danger.
Yeah, rest in peace, Toker and Danger.
Peace Toker,
Yeah.
definitely, man.
That's right, yeah. Shout out Kid Frost, yeah. Because I produced Smile Now, Cry Later, like 75% of the album. Me, Tony G, and Julio G produced that record, and then a collective of us produced Brownside, yeah, at the label, yeah. Like we were really going to really, that's small, I mean, because those two artists were going to be powerhouses in Latino hip hop. They were going to be.
They were going
to be powerhouses.
The NWA version.
They were going to be,
But from
trust
Chicano,
me, they was going to be a powerhouse. Yeah, what we had for Brownside, they was going to be a powerhouse. Trust me, that I know. I know Toker's vision and how we love what Danger's energy was, rest in peace, and their two energies together was really, really incredible for that form of rap. Like gangster Chicano shit would have been crazy, you know, with them. And, you know, Frost already had, you know, he already had his following. So we were just trying to take that to another level with him, you know.
I've always wondered about a song. There's a song called Smile Now, Die Later.
Yeah.
Not the album, but the song.
Right.
Whatever happened to that song, like it leaked. I remember, you know what I'm saying, back in the day, it leaked and it was on a cassette, but it never actually came out on the album.
What had happened to that record? 'Cause
That was, to me, that was like one of the dopest songs from that album. Because I remember when Smile Now, Die Later came out, that was kind of like the height of Kid Frost. Like, that's when he was like,
oh yeah,
like
he
really
was
getting
on top
big.
of his game. Yeah, that was the epitome. I mean, that was kind of the level. I think the dope part about that part of his career was he had already established himself as being that guy. I think him joining up with Eazy would have took him to the stratosphere. Like it would have took him far, far beyond that. And that's what one of the funny thing about a lot of those situations, the hardest part of it is that Eazy died in the midst of all those records really being super successful. That division that we were gonna do with Chicano rap was gonna be nuts. So you can believe that. That was definitely something that me and him was aiming to take to the next level. You know?
Do you guys have any stories from hanging out with Toker and working with him or anything? Or Kid Frost?
Man. Well, I don't really have no stories like that I can say on here, but
okay.
Them was my bros though. Like I don't really have,
Eazy-E gave Toker Boys in the Hood.
Okay.
What was that? Did you work on that? How was that?
I didn't work on that. But the thing about him and his, they were really close. Cause I think those type of minds think alike.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time together, but right before, it's crazy because Toker probably spent the same amount of time as I spent with Eazy, but Toker spent it in his last few years of his life. I spent it for a good period of his life. He spent like those last, when he was turned sick and, I think that they were so close, because me and Toker used to talk about it all the time. He was like, man, because Eazy put me with Toker. Like he put me he put me around Brownside to kind of like lace him up, like follow him, kind of lace him up in the studio and all that shit, give him like their little legs in the studio, because he's like, y'all think alike, But they were really, really tight, so yeah, I could see why he did that. Because I know their relationship. They were really, really tight. Yeah. Like for real, they were
Brothers.
really tight, yo. Like they were really tight, dog. Like I would see, because I would probably spend 80% of my life with Eric, and I think Toker probably spent 80% of his life with Eric too. Only difference is he spent it in a short time. I spent it in a long span around Eric. You know what I mean? And they were just as tight. If I would run across Toker, most of the time I would run across Toker would be with Eric, and I saw Eric on a regular basis. That's how I know how tight they were.
Toker was always there.
Exactly.
Always.
Yeah. Once he came and was there, he never left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Dope. I seen somewhere that Eazy-E paid for a surgery.
Oh yeah.
Was it for you or one of your kids or something?
It was for my twin boys.
Okay.
A lot of people, look on the surface of who Eazy was. But see, Eazy was a giving person. You know what I mean? So like when my boys, like around seven months, they were prematurely born, but they had hernia issues and some other medical conditions. And they was born right there in St. Bernardines. And at that time, they needed surgery. So I was owed some money, but I didn't get it yet. And I called Eric personally and told him the situation. He broke his meeting out in Calabasas, got to Fontana in an hour. Put a bag down and said, not on my clock. Go take care of your family. So a lot of people see Eazy, and Hutch can tell you this too. A lot of people see him, this rap superstar, but a lot of people don't know how much he was given. You know what I mean? Yep. He was always given to fundraisers, always given to kids. So on an intimate, brotherly level, when Hutch and myself say he was much more than a CEO to us,
yep,
it's real in the field when we say that.
Absolutely.
So now when you can look at my kids, they don't have no medical issues. But because he decided to step in the doorway and said it's much more than just putting you on, making money from your music. Nah, man, you got a family.
Yep.
I'm going to come out there, man, and get back to my meeting. But I'm going to come out there, cash me out. I took the whole band. I took the bands to St. Bernardine. Bam, bam, bam. My kids got the surgery. And they 31 years old right now, but no problems.
That's awesome, man.
So, sometimes I got to hold myself with that, because Eazy was like, he was much more than what people perceiving from a rapper that died of AIDS. Nah, man. Eric, he gave a fuck about his people.
Yeah.
And just You know, I get a blessing by telling people that because they hear a lot of shit through media. Media spin shit how they want to.
That's right.
You know, for their own personal narrative.
That's cool.
But when it comes to him, you know, he was much more than signing rappers from Pomona.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean? He actually showed up.
Yeah, for us.
When most talked about it.
Yeah.
He did a lot of good things from what I hear.
A lot of great things,
absolutely.
bro. That, you know, an NWA movie because they packed the seats, and I understand.
Yep.
You know, there's
He's way bigger than that.
there's really 60 or 70% information that's not
Yeah.
about Eric, as
That's right.
opposed to just packing in the seats as NWA. No, Eric did some very, very cool things,
Well,
man.
and we understand that. That's like we understand how it all works, but all we can stand on is what the man truly done for all of us is he gave us an opportunity to not possibly reach the penitentiary
Yeah.
or the grave
Yeah.
by the hand of the streets. He gave us that opportunity to where our children are very productive in society. They've never even lived those kind of lives, and it's because of what Eazy-E done for us. You know,
How did you guys feel when he went to the White House?
Mad, but I'll tell you a story about that.
You were mad at him for going?
Yeah, I was kind of upset because we were anti-establishment. So it was
Yeah.
like, why'd you do that? And he said, okay. He said, all right. You know, he said, you feel like that? He said, but guess what? Let me tell you the genius part about it. He said, first of all, I was so close to him, I could have took a paperclip and knocked his fucking eye out. He said, second of all, I spent $10,000 on a plate and got $1 million worth of press. I said, okay, I understand now. And I left it alone. I said, boy, you a bad motherfucker, man.
Yeah.
Because I didn't see it.
Because everybody was talking about
Oh yeah,
that.
the whole camp.
Still
was
to
like,
this
yeah,
day.
the whole camp was like, I wouldn't have never did that. But then we broke that shit down to me. I was like, well, he got a point. He said, what other Compton nigga you know could go to the White House? You think I wasn't gonna take that opportunity? You know what I mean? And that's why I love him, man. You know, the greatest thing happened to me in my life is seeing Muhammad, being able to witness Muhammad Ali and knowing Eazy-E. The greatest two things that happened to me in my life, man, because I'd never seen a person who everything he did, I won't say it was calculated in a good way, but he knew what the moves and how you should move on that board, man. When you on that chessboard, he knew how to move on it, man. I wouldn't have never thought that, y'all. I would have never thought that was in his head. Like, oh yeah, I get $1 million of press for spending $10,000.
He loved the controversy too.
He loved it. Yeah. He gonna stir that pot now.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, that he was really kind of ahead of his time when it came to finding ways to get press and everything.
That's like when we got banned, you know, Murder Rap, our first video got banned on MTV. He spent that. He was like, the reason why it got banned because in the video we pay a judge off and then I beat the Murder Rap in the video. And at that time it was exposing the judicial system that you can commit a crime, pay and get out. That was the whole point of Murder Rap video. And he was like, no, I'm gonna use that, let them ban us. And then they did a big press release of us getting banned and our record went through the ceiling, went #1. From that controversy. Yeah, I mean, it's a great record, of course, but yeah, got that exposure because of that.
Well, that's what's up. Okay. Yeah, I mean, he found ways to flip it. You know, get you that press. You know, it was marketing.
Yeah.
His marketing was ahead of his time.
Marketing genius, man.
I saw Biggie rapped over the Black Superman beat.
Yeah.
During the freestyle. Did you guys ever have any sort of interactions with Biggie or
I was
around
gonna I was actually gonna work on Life After Death. But when him and Pac started becoming at odds, because we all was friends at the same time, all was friends at that time. You know, when he was doing Ready to Die, and it dropped, we all was kind of, you know, hanging. When we go to New York, we hang out a lot, and we see each other on shows.
And y'all used to call yourself notorious above the law.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And he would be like, man, I'm a big fan. Oh, in Brooklyn, we bumped that above the law shit. You know, he said, man, I want to get you on the record, on the next record. I need you to do some heat. Do some heat for me, man. Like, you know, that shit, man. And we chopped it up. And he's like, he gave me his house number. I would call him at his house. We go over little ideas. He's like, yeah, man, that might be cool. We gonna link up. And then when him and Pac fell out, I guess he felt like, oh, well, yeah, everybody gonna pick sides. And he kind of like went his way, and we kind of like, you know, drifted apart. But yeah, we were really cool with Biggie. Yeah, we knew Biggie. Yeah.
Man, that'd have been dope, man. Too bad you guys didn't get to work something with
I
him.
wish we would have, man. Yeah.
I years later worked with Puffy.
Yeah.
Did some songs with Puffy. But we would always talk about those moments.
Yeah.
Because Puffy, you know, he's a Bubba Long Kokane fan. So I did a song called Sometimes I Feel Like I'm Lonely on The Saga Continues. And we would always talk and reference those times where he was like, man, we used to love Notorious Above the Law.
Yeah, it's crazy,
So it's
man.
a trip, man. The whole Revelation's a trip.
Yeah, exactly.
What was it like working with Puffy?
Oh, it was amazing. You know what I mean? Flew me out to Miami. You know, I went in there and did the songs, you know, because my pen game was on point.
Did you write for him too?
No,
Or you just wrote your
I
own?
just wrote my hook and did the songs. Did like 3 songs with him. Cashed me out. Business was pretty cool.
Okay.
It was all right, man. You never know who you know, or who, or, you know, vice versa. But it was cool though.
You guys talked about the Straight Outta Compton movie. Were you guys ever called to consult for anything or asked about anything?
Nah.
No,
No.
because the forces that be wouldn't allow that
Right.
at that time.
I think their angle with Straight Outta Compton was kind of like on them. It wasn't about a story about Ruthless. So
Yeah.
I think that's why they didn't talk to a lot of the people that were on Ruthless to that degree. I think it was more about the guys, you know.
Yeah, it's about them because, you know,
about them,
one of the things that was very instrumental, you know, Ruthless became what it is because of the record, because of JJ Fad.
Yeah.
The Supersonic record actually opened up everybody's nostrils
Yeah.
to like what's going on.
Yeah.
And they didn't really touch on that.
Yeah.
They-
It even made Eric be really serious about actually forming a label to that degree. He was just invested into the Supersonic record and exploded. So it made him kind of want to invest into music at that point. And then when HBO didn't show up for the session and they did Boys in the Hood and threw him in the booth, that kind of turned everything up another 200 notches, you know. But Supersonic came out first. Supersonic came out
Okay,
first.
so
they from out here.
They're from Rialto. They
yeah.
just got a street named after
Yeah,
them.
I
Yeah,
know.
seen that.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to
That's
them.
crazy.
Yeah, the sisters. Hey, what's up, y'all? Yeah. But yeah, that was the actually first hit at Ruthless Records. Was
Really?
Supersonic.
Okay, so that was before NWA and
before
everything.
Boys in the Hood. It's around the same time the Posse record and stuff like that. But as far as commercial hit, Supersonic was the first, you know, commercial.
That's crazy. Wow. Okay.
Kind of kept the lights on there. You know, paved the way for us to have careers in a sense.
Yeah, IE in the house.
Yeah.
IE record made that happen.
Huh.
That's true.
Rialto
Yeah. Yeah.
paved the way
There you go.
for Ruthless Records.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy to
Yeah.
think. Damn. Okay.
Because magic is magic. It don't matter where it come from, you know. Yeah, magic and music, it don't matter where it come from. It can come from the most craziest place, smallest place, not even thought about place, and you never know where it can go. Where it can take you. Music can take you on a whole nother level. You know, just somebody that's from a farm could write so many hit records you could never even conceive and be like, how do they think like that? Living way out there. It's just somebody. That's the magic of it, and that's why Supersonic was for Ruthless. I believe it gained so much success that I think that it was like undeniable that Eric knew like, oh yeah, this record shit is kind of real, you know.
Did you guys ever work with Nate Dogg at all?
Yeah, I worked with Nate Dogg.
Yeah.
You know, we did a bunch of songs together. All you got to do is type in.
Nate Dogg
Kokane
is actually
and Nate
singing
Dogg.
on Those Omega Flex too. Remember?
Yeah.
He's singing on Those Omega Flex.
Oh,
at the
yeah, that's
end,
right.
you know. Oh yeah. That's Nate Dogg.
Oh,
Remember
yeah,
he sung with us.
I
He was
forgot
harmonizing
about
with us
that.
on
That's
Dose of the Omega
crazy.
Flex, on Vocally Pimpin'. Yeah.
Yeah, but we did a lot of stuff, and at the time when I was over there at Doghouse, a lot of people used to like to compare us, you know, because he lived out in Pomona, like Claremont, basically Pomona, and we used to laugh about it all the time because it'd be the
Nate,
media,
rest in
it'd be
peace.
people, you know, that's Buddy Love, you know what I mean? I'm Buddy Long, that's Buddy Love, you know, but we was always complimentary because we had different styles. He was more of the smooth, silky,
Crooner, smooth. Yeah.
you know, silky type of voice. You know, I was more the wild, rough, but then I could twist it up with the rapping.
Yeah.
But we used to sit back, man, and just laugh at a lot of people. Look at these dudes trying to compare us. I don't do what Nate do. He certainly don't do what Kokane do.
Yeah.
You know, but one thing about Nate, man, he was real to the core. You know, damn sure wasn't no buster.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? He was a rider. You know, he was from the military too. He was a soldier.
He's solid.
Yeah, he was solid.
Solid, yeah.
And once we developed a relationship, it was just golden. You know what I mean? All the stuff that the division had subsided during the 90s because it really wasn't about us. It was about somebody else beef.
Yeah.
We just all got thrown into it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? When they dissed us, you know, because we never did diss. Above the Law and Kokane never did diss Death Row. We got dissed on a song called Lunch and Tangeray by this new group I heard of at that time called the Dog Pound.
Mm-hmm.
So they was running with each other, they organization, and then we was running with our organization. So years later, once we had a chance to do records like with Yuck Mouth, Ignorant, you know, Bottom Girl, Me Warren G, the East Siders, on the East Siders, the Ghetto, you know what I mean? It was just like we complimented each other.
What was that time like when Death Row and Ruthless was kind of beefing and everything?
It really was Dre and Eric's beef. It really wasn't the two cliques really per se on the overall scale because we still was dealing with each other, like you said, a bit. You know, I think where the lines got kind of blurred was when they took a punch at Eric on Dre Day than he did Real Compton City G's, and then that's kind of like where it started.
The Dr. Dre 187 Killer.
Yeah, the Dr. Dre 187 Killer album. When we did that album, that was the answer to Dre Day, basically. And that's when it really got kind of like everybody draw their line in the sand, basically. But in real time, nobody really was beefing.
Yeah, I heard they were still talking to each other on the phone.
Yeah, it wasn't in real time. Like if you talk to all of us in real time, we all were mutual. You know, like if you say we still was talking to Dre and Suge, we still was, but Eric and Dre wasn't talking. You feel me? It was like that.
And they stayed around the corner.
We became cool with Dog Pound, but Eric and Dre wasn't talking. You see what I'm saying? So that's how the lines get blurred. We were still cool with Warren and Snoop.
Yeah.
But Dre and Eric wasn't talking. See,
okay.
So it wasn't like that. It's just that I think, you know, shout out to BG Knockout and Dracer.
BG Knockout,
you know, Dirty Red wrote Real Compton, Rhythm D, who produced it. You know what they were doing the answer to Dre Day. So a lot of times when you get into it, everybody was throwing shots at Eric. So we like, okay, we need to throw a shot back at that situation too, like on the record, you know what I mean? It's kind of like after No Vaseline, Eric and Cube got cool again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But everybody should be able to shoot their shot, I feel. You know what I'm saying? After they did what they did on Evil Vazagan, Cube had to shoot his shot.
No Vaseline?
No Vaseline, yeah. So I think that when people start talking about it was really a beef, it really wasn't like that. Like it really wasn't never where we were somewhere where we had to like, you know,
break out
guns and shit, like, and do something. I mean, although, you know, me and Eric, I remember Eric told me to meet him up at Priority one day, and he was like, "Man, where you at?" I'm like, "I'm over here." Blah, blah. He said, "Well, you got the thing on you, man?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Man, come up here. I don't know. I'm up here by myself, man. Just come up here and like sit with me." I'm like, he said, "Cause I don't know if these Death Row dudes gonna come up here or whatever." So I came up there and sat with him. But most likely the dudes that was gonna come up there was fools I knew. So so it wasn't even gonna be no judge, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, I'll come up there and sit with you, homie. But that's because Eric felt like they had issues with him.
Right.
But really the issue was between two brothers that had fell apart, you know what I mean?
Dre and
Eazy. It's two, they were like brothers. So it's like he felt, the thing I can tell your viewers or whatever was this. The worst time I seen, the lowest I ever seen Eric was when Dre left because he felt like, me and Dre is like brothers. Why don't you just talk to me? I don't know why he wants Suge to talk to me, and if Dre asked me for what he wanted, I'll do it for him. I don't like that. I don't like how he won't talk to me. We like brothers. He was crushed. because he wouldn't respect him enough for him to just talk. He said, "Why is his attorneys calling me? Why he not coming to me and talking to me?" You know what I mean? That's like a a pride, dignity. I don't know what it was. He's like, if he just talked to me, but I'm not gonna just get forced by a Suge. I don't know him I know Dre. If Dre just come talk to me, and he would never do it. He was crushed by that shit though. He was more mad at that part than he was mad at him just saying, coming to him, because he never came to him and he said he had a meeting with him and he never said a word in the meeting. Suge did all the talking.
Wow.
And he was crushed. He was more crushed by that than what Suge was saying. Because after the fact, like Kokane said, what Suge was talking about became true. So he didn't have no issues after he figured it all out. But he was kind of right by saying if Dre really felt like that, Dre come tell me that. You know what I mean? Just out of respect for him. He felt like it was the most major disrespectful shit he could do as being someone he looked at like his brother.
You guys mentioned No Vaseline.
Yeah.
What was it like when that came out? That was a.
We used to go in the club. Tell them when we used to go in the club, and that DJ would purposely play that record on.
Hell yeah, man! You talking about smashing the head?
You guys whooped some ass over them playing the record in the club?
Nah, I mean, I think after the Niggas for Life record, I think that was fair game. What you say, fam?
Yeah.
In hip hop, we thought that was fair game. Yeah. Like, okay.
Because they came back rebuttal.
Yeah.
About the broomstick, the intro, the Benedict Arnold thing.
Yeah, because they jumped it off.
Yeah.
See, the thing about all that is, No Vaseline is the answer to NWA.
Oh, absolutely. Right. They the one who bombed
first, yeah.
And Ice Cube,
because
they was mad because that No Vaseline.
They was mad because he left. Now, if people pay attention to No Vaseline, Cube tells you he only left because he didn't agree with the way we all was getting treated.
Yeah.
If you look through No Vaseline, but people don't listen like that.
Mm-hmm.
He said,
break up my crew.
Yeah, exactly. He say it on the record. He say what happened. You following him. Y'all think it's fair. It's not fair. He playing y'all. He say that all in No Vaseline. He break it down to y'all on the record. People get caught up in the, but he telling you, he's saying, look, I'm not fucking with Jerry Heller. No Vaseline was more, Jerry Heller was really, his head was on fire when he heard it. His head was on fire.
When he seen it?
We just looked at it like hip hop. We was like, okay, shit. We just looked at it like hip hop.
This nigga Cube, that shit gas.
Think about it. Think about what he said about Dre. Think what he said about Red. Eazy. Look what he said about all of them. And everybody was cool because we know in rap, that's fair business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It ain't like it is now. You know what I'm saying? You got people go get your IP and murder your mom and shit.
Yeah,
and they banging on, telling on each other on that. It wasn't like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't the internet back then.
A fight might happen. Somebody might get smashed for doing too much, like trying to, be on one side or the other side. But when it comes to, we felt like that was fair game. Like, we was on the side like, he ain't say that about us.
He didn't say shit about us. We would go in the club and they, goddamn, I heard. We look at each other. We always gave it like.
Goddamn, y'all said it all.
We was like,
used to be hard. He just went so. I said, whoa, what? He broke that shit down.
Like, that nigga talking big shit.
Cowboy broke that shit down. Didn't he, pimpin'? I said, wait a minute. Did he say what? I said, man, let me move out the way, man. Eric was like, that's how it go. We know. He looked at it like, that's how it go. Everybody looked at it, that's how it go. They know. Everybody it wasn't like so much where people was like jumping out the window or ready to go kill themselves over. It's like they just know how they
laughed
go.
that off.
Yeah. It's a part of.
And that was beautiful back then because, see, the misconception that you ain't real in the entertainment just because you ain't banging and boo, that's some boo-boo shit.
Sure is.
You know what I'm saying? Street business always ran the industry as well.
The whole industry.
But that ain't never, the old school. Mm-hmm. That ain't never really had to do with entertainment. See?
Absolutely.
Eazy came from a hood, but he understood that, hey, I want to sell records to who?
The Bloods.
I want to sell records to who?
The Crips.
I want to sell records to who?
The Latinos.
Yeah. All that other shit. If you would have brought that in there, he'd have told you what?
Get the fuck out of here. I ain't
Fuck
signing
out of
you.
here.
If you can't talk
Because
about
business
general
is
gangster
business.
shit, if you start talking about I'm beefing with the essays, I don't want your record. You start talking about you beefing with the Bloods, I don't want your record. You start thinking about, now you can kick gangster shit out, talking about you from this neighborhood and fuck them Crips over there, I don't want to put a record out on you. Period. And he was a Crip. He told us that's why we're not going to do that at our label. We're going to kick gangster shit, reality rap, and that's going to be it. We're not going to do that because we want everybody to buy records. I don't know what that is or what that's about, but that's not the essence of anything if you're talking about running a successful business. I'm telling you, it's not.
Yeah.
I don't care how hard it hit. It's like saying, if I say, first of all, when you look at it, what about people who don't support that culture at all? Let's just say that first.
Yeah.
Then people who are in that culture that's got to pick and choose to support a rapper or not support him, because he's splitting the culture in half. He's splitting it in half or in thirds, however. So look at what you do. So, okay, let's say you are a blood rapper and coming out saying that, I blood this, blood that, blood that. And it's Crips that would want to buy your record because it's dope, but they don't because you an enemy or an op, as they say. Okay, you missing Crip money now. You feel me? And you missing money that people that don't know what that culture is about or don't want to even be involved with consuming your music. See, everyone loves a gangster movie. But everyone doesn't love when you say, fuck me over there, and I'm not fucking with them people because fuck them. You know what I mean? They don't like that. They're not going to support it. They might not want to be involved with it. And that's what Eric taught us in the younger days. Yeah, funk. Do funk. You know what I'm saying? Do gangster shit. But don't never put this in it and that in it and this into that because you don't want to separate and limit yourself for how highly successful you could be in this.
And we picked up on that a long time ago from the gate.
Yeah.
That's why it was like, that's what it is, man. We're supposed to inspire each other, and Eazy inspired us from the business end to the creative end. He inspired us, and as you can see from his inspiration, those manifestations through Above the Law still carry out to this day.
Absolutely.
I interviewed Money B a while back, and he had mentioned that there was like an altercation between Ruthless and Death Row on an elevator.
Yeah, he told me the night at the Marriott. Yeah, when Pac had the gun in the elevator, but everybody pulled their guns out, and he said, "I got my shit too." You know what I mean? Well, it's because we had finished. We were doing Call It What You Want. We was performing Call It What You Want at a showcase at and not Jack the Rapper. What was it called? It was the Urban, one of those little seminars that they give, the little 3-4 day music seminars. We was doing something with Warner Brothers, and Pac and Mun was gonna perform Call It What You Want with us. It was that night. And we was in the elevator, and like I said, that's when Eric and Dre was at odds, and it was like, oh, Death Row's supposed to be in there. It was like, we ain't tripping off that. Got my heat. I got my heat, and then Pac pulled his heat out. Because at the time, he wasn't dealing with them at that time. You know what I mean? He was just kind of like, he was on Interscope. He didn't have any ties with Death Row at that time. Pac didn't have no ties with it. He was just an artist on he was an artist on Interscope at the time. So he didn't have no ties with Death Row at that moment. Yeah. He ran with us. That's at the time where he was developing Thug Life and all that other stuff. So when people talk about it, like when Mun's talking about it, he's talking about way before the fact of him even dealing with Suge and Death Row. Like years. This is years, B. This is like in the early, this is like 91.
Yeah, 91.
Yeah.
How'd everything go? Did everything?
Oh, that never jumped off. It was just a conversation in the elevator. But the reason why he brings the story up is because of how Pac was. Like, people think Pac was nuts when he went to Death Row. Pac was always a rider before that. It just was his character. Pac was always ready to go at any time.
We took Pac out to the club in 91. Was it 91? Just shooting up in the air.
Yeah.
Pow, pow.
Pac was always ready to go.
Brilliant, intelligent.
Yeah, he always ready.
He was wild.
He was always ready to go, though. I'll tell you that much. He wasn't.
Don't let the skinniness fool you.
He wasn't scared to fight or shoot. He wasn't scared. Now. He was always ready to go. That didn't have nothing to do, you know, big ups to all my G's, from Mob, all my folks from over there. That they real riders, that you know, the enforcers up at Death Row. But he was already ready to go before, you know, he was riding with Death Row.
Yeah, he was
you
a
know what I mean?
firecracker.
He was a firecracker. He was always ready to go.
Ruthless is going, you know, Dre is left, man, and then Eazy gets sick.
Yeah.
How do you guys hear about everything and kind of, you know what I'm saying, what was that like experience like for you guys?
Us. I mean, you know, they called us, you know, Powers to Be called us.
Yeah.
And let us know that first we knew that he was in one hospital, and then they said they was releasing him, and then we found out they moved him, and then he was at Cedar, and it just took a turn from there. Like,
Yeah, but the last like what, week or two?
yeah, probably the 2
That
weeks
was like
before that.
we were setting up to do California off Uncle Sam's Curse. So we met at the House of Blues at that time. Jada Pickett was, you know, she was going to actually direct it. So it was me, rest in peace KMG, rest in peace E,
and Eazy E, and her,
Hutch, and myself,
yeah,
and Jada Pickett at House of Blues, and Eric was just coughing, right? Eric was like, I was like, we was just clowning. We didn't know. We thought it was a cold or something.
exactly.
Like, man, you better go get your stuff fixed.
Because he had bronchitis really bad.
Yeah.
His whole career. As long as I've known him, he's always been kind of like congested and all of that. So that wasn't new. We would just be joking because, you know, at that time, you know, AIDS was kind of like squirting around. Like, hey, man, what's up? You good? Like, you know, kind of like how people be like the COVID now. Like, you coughing? Like, hey, man, you know, you got that shit? You know, like that. Just joking. And a few weeks after that, all hell broke loose. We like, oh, you know, he got admitted to a hospital for bronchitis. Then they transferred him, and I guess they ran tests, and then they found that out. So
AIDS.
Just that quick, yeah. And I had met with him 2 weeks within that time because we was working on the California video, but we also were tightening up all the stuff that the steps we was gonna take when Jerry Heller was getting out of the scenario. We had a meeting, me and him, and we were just smoking. He was regular. He looked healthy. Just had got back from New York. He said he met with Cube. He said in a few days I'm gonna talk to Dre. You know, he called Law. He called everybody. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna put everything back together, you know. And me, Brother Law, Kokane, and Ren, we still was riding with Eric at the time. So it was apparent that that's what we all were gonna do. And he seemed like he was pretty cool. To me, the thing that was crazy when that actually happened was so devastating because he kind of was like he always was. But he just took sick really quick.
He didn't show no.
Yeah.
We didn't show no fear. No.
Yeah. He didn't say. He didn't act like he was sick. His attitude didn't change. None of that. You know. He came to the studio. Roll up.
Yeah. And he was the type of person. He didn't want nobody feeling sorry for him.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people nowadays, you know, they get brownie points. You know, whoop-de-whoop. I mean, you don't even know this cat, and you acting like you're sad.
Yeah, exactly.
Nah, but Eazy went out like a rider.
And he wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't no dude that you want you crying all over him and shit.
Nah,
you know, he was a G in that.
Because we didn't know.
Yeah,
we would go over his house sometimes. And he had like a bunch of ginseng.
Yeah, all that. Yeah.
Because he had
bronchitis.
Bronchitis bad.
He did an inhaler. He had the inhaler and all that stuff. Not saying that he, you know, like that's the thing about the conspiracy of everything, but it's like the symptoms that we saw was we regularly saw it. He always was congested, and he had a pump. He would squirt that pump. You know, it wasn't like nothing different. Like people try to make it seem like it's some so left field. We say, hey, he had bronchitis, but yeah, that could have been. No, he always had that. So I don't know. Yeah, but it was devastating for us because that was the day that Ruthless died. Ruthless died with Eazy-E. It's no more Ruthless without Eric Wright. Sorry.
Yeah.
Care who running around trying to act like it's no more. It's no more. He had the passion, the drive. He let everybody, like he said earlier, he gave us total creative autonomy. He saw the vision all the way up to Bone Thugs and Harmony, what they stood for. You know what I mean? He saw the vision from the beginning to the end. There's nobody else was, I bought this and I bought that. He saw everybody's vision and backed everybody's play. To me, that's Ruthless Records.
Yeah. And that's why, you know, once Eric passed, it was time for us to move
leave.
on.
Yeah, that was
because in my humble opinion, it died with Eric.
Me too.
You
Ruthless
know,
is no more without Eazy E.
and,
Eazy E
and
was
we,
Ruthless
we
Records.
would we would not. Yellow would talk to us. We talk to each other like that. I mean,
Yeah.
Yellow would be like, man,
It's over.
it's over with,
It's
man.
over.
We got to go over here to Scotty Brothers real
It's
quick.
over. Yeah, we got to go. Check out time. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
What did you guys do afterwards? After you guys left Ruthless?
I signed this deal.
He ended up going to Scotty Brothers. We
Scotty
ended up going
Brothers.
to Tommy Boy.
Yep.
Okay.
That's where you got heard Time Will Reveal,
Reveal, yeah.
and you heard Paradas Only, and This Is For The E.
Yeah. All that's over there.
Yeah, and Remembrance, of course, for the homie.
Okay. And then you eventually ended up with Snoop.
Right. He was
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
Doghouse. Yeah.
Well, what it was after Eric passed, you know, that was our lifeline.
yeah.
So basically, everybody did their own thing. I got in a little trouble. You know, I would have been doing more stuff with Above the Law, but I got in my own little trouble.
Yep.
And then at that time, we said, you know, it was a situation over there at Scotty Brothers because I did a record with DJ Yella of NWA called This Is For The E, like I was telling you. And we also did something called Riders Only, which is not only produced, but featuring Code 187. So we was already doing our thing. And then later through the years, I hooked up with some cats like in 1997, 98 called Street Institute. And over there at Street Institute in Upland, it was in Upland. Trade E used to come over there a lot, Half Dead. So back then, going into almost 1999, Snoop had sent a message through Half Dead, and I went and moseyed my way up to Claremont. We all squashed the pump. You know what I mean? He said, man, I always liked y'all sound. This Snoop, hey, cuz, always like y'all sound, cuz. Like you and the bottle all, cuz. I was listening to all that shit, cuz. This verbatim. You know what I mean? I said, man, he said, you coming over here, man? I'm starting this shit after Doggy Style. I'm gonna do the Doghouse. And I'm gonna put this new group together, nigga. It's gonna be hard, cuz it's called Eastsiders. So our first record that recorded was at the Music Grinder in Hollywood. Don't, with Meech doing the beat. Shout out to Meech.
Yeah. Beach
And then just develop a good relationship because he already knew. He was like, man, I know. He said, y'all was the first people, Above the Law. Code 187 was the first people I auditioned for. So he was heavily inspired by the sound.
Yep.
So the sound, because it was a different type of sound, especially coming out of No Limit. Fuck them other niggas because they're down with, they had nothing to do with
south,
G-Funk.
like bounce, yeah.
Right.
Bounce south. Yeah.
So me being one of the architects coming from that camp, Above the Law camp, you know, it was like clockwork, easy. So when I went over there, I was just doing songs. I thought I was going to do at least 3 songs. But man, he ended up keeping like 8 songs, and then the Eastsiders, 4 songs on the first project. And also, you know, Deuces and Trays, and the list go on. So, you know, it was cool at that time, you know. But what goes up must come down. At the time when we was going to get a deal with LaToya, Williams, Superfly, E. White, and myself, we was called the Doggy All-Stars. But I didn't know that MCA was going to file bankruptcy, Chapter 11 or whatever it was. Yeah. So all the whole deal subsided. I gave you know, Doghouse an inducement letter, which was breach of contract. He went his way. You know, Trade E had to go sit down for a little bit, and he did his thing. And I just left the company. So when I left the company, you know, I was in shambles. You know, I was doing extra bad. It ain't no big secret. I was doing bad. You know what I mean? That's part of life. Yeah. But it allowed me to go, you know, get my business together because I had to go sit down for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Them cold in West Valley. I remember them cold nights in West Valley in San Bernardino. But it allowed me to say, man, I'm going to go ahead and move on. So, you know, Seattle and Washington, it just kept coming to me in dreams. On television, my wife would talk about it, so I knew, you know, Pape Zeus, the guy, got upstairs, was talking to me. So I left, you know what I mean? And then over the years, of course, he would call me to play an instrumental role in some of his projects, like The Bush, just certain projects, you know what I mean? I was able to bless that man with close to 100 songs, if not over it. You know what I mean? But it was a hell of a ride,
Yeah.
going into 29, the early 1999, and I would say
Early
like
2000s.
2005 or something like that.
Early 2000s.
It was incredible, bro, because going back to where Eazy days, after Eazy passed, that was my lifeline, and I had kids to feed.
Yeah.
So 9 times out of 10, you have your independent artists, and being mindful, I was getting crumbs. I wasn't getting nothing at all. It was just the love for it. You know what I mean? But I kept doing hooks and hooks and hooks and hooks and hooks, and it kind of created a safe haven. So once I got, to the doghouse situation, mind you, I already had that connection and did what I did with Above the Law first. And then my first platinum record was writing Eazy 10 Gangsta Commandments for Appetite Destruction on Niggas for Life. So I already had a history. But after, those experiences over there at Doghouse, it really catapulted my name double up. Besides the Ruthless thing and Above the Law thing, it doubled up. And all people across the world, were really asking for
Because
this
rap was
type
bigger
of sound.
Too. Rap was bigger too.
You know what I mean? And that particular sound that they adopted strictly came from the Above the Law camp. You know what I mean? So all those records that you hear from the East Siders, the Dog, whether it was Busta Rhymes, whether it was Short Chop, whether it was whoever, all the Chicano rappers I blessed, and it's a lot of Chicano rappers I blessed. They kept me, fed for a minute. You know what I mean? That came from the Above the Law camp, which we are the architects of G-Funk. So it's really like when we say architects now, it's all that whole revelation of a 30+ year ride, man. The ups and downs in life. You know what I mean? For us to be here, are certain people like KMG, Eazy, Tupac are not here no more. And it's something that we wanted to get together because we always wanted to do a project, since we was knee high.
Yeah.
But according to this season, it was time for us to put some solid music together, something that we felt has been missing for a minute, but it's also with the integrity that we uphold. You know what I'm saying? For your Eazy-E's and your Tupacs and your KMGs and da-da-da-da-da, the list goes on.
People that not the
So
voice to hear.
the significance of the architects of G-Funk is not only putting out good music, but it's also showing the body of influence. Because just like P-Funk became a phenomenon, well, G-Funk became a phenomenon.
Yep.
And it's cool for us to be here sitting on this type of platform, giving you the real deal, so that way, media can start to understand. Like, you can't tell the half truths without knowing the whole truth.
Yeah.
So it's very imperative, fam, that we, continue to educate the media, you know what I'm saying, and not tell a lopsided story.
And bless the people.
And no disrespect, and really bless the people, because it's all kind of brothers and sisters, Cardinales out there that really
need to know.
want to know and be inspired how you put this together. What really happened like that? There's some things that's conflicting with that timeline. What's going on over here? Yeah. And it's a beautiful thing as elders now that we still relevant. We still out here, touching the four corners on the earth. I'm always getting hooks. He's always getting work.
Yeah.
And it's a blessing to be able to influence now the youngsters, because now, Carnal, we got people that are between the ages of 16 on up, that really had a chance to take advantage by sitting in the house at this COVID virus thing and study.
Yeah.
So it's a blessing to be able to see the youngsters being affected by the originals of this particular sound that went all over the world.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So we're privileged to be able to give it to the people, because our thing is that we wasn't so concerned with selling records to the industry as opposed to selling records to the people in the streets.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
When we look at the underground, like when we first started doing G-Funk, I think the cool thing is that it was like we came up in a time where hip hop was a rebellious form of music. It wasn't pop culture. It was like a rebellion, like when you made music. So we decided that when I, as a young producer, started creating the theory of G-Funk, which a lot of people were sampling funk music and doing it, rapping over funk. But me, Kokane, and KMG, the rest of the writers and Above the Law, we decided to sing on top of it. I decided as a producer to put melody, chords, harmonies, all this thing into a form of music called hardcore hip hop at the time, which was gangster rap. And we didn't do it to like, oh yeah, we want to be the next to do this. It just was kind of like making our mark in hip hop, really. It wasn't really because rap wasn't really that popular. It didn't really, our type of music, because we wasn't getting radio. At Ruthless Records, we wasn't getting a lot of radio. When it really kicked off was when the Chronic got all of that shine, which that's a G-Funk influenced record, but the origins of it come from what we were doing as Above the Law, and that's why we look at it like we did. In turn, it rolls into other things that he's done later in his career and I've done later in my career, and it inspired records like the Chronic, G-Funk era, all of the stuff that kind of the theories that a lot of producers had doing it this way. You know what I mean? The elements of it, far as G-Funk, but the origin of it comes from me as the producer, Code 187 from Above the Law, and the sound of Above the Law and Kokane. That's the foundation of it, that birthed all of this great, phenomenal music, that we have an identity for as West Coast hip hop is concerned, in hip hop in general, that's a significant thing in hip hop itself, that we can say G-Funk came from the West Coast. It came from these people, its origin for this. And that's why we decided to do the Architects group, to solidify that for all the people who have been doing G-Funk. We are a G-Funk group. Right. We've always been that, from the beginning. Our group has always been a funky hip hop group, from Above the Law and Kokane. And this is like the solidification of that. The Architects album is a solidification of that we're G-Funk. You know what I mean? We do G-Funk. Not that nobody else doesn't do G-Funk, but we do it.
It's very important it's very important to acknowledge your Kobe Bryants. The Mamba was one of the most incredible players ever.
Yes, he was.
But he always take a back seat and have integrity and respect and say, well, Mamba wouldn't be Mamba without Michael Jordan.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that integrity that they share with each other inspires other young basketball players to it's kind of used like an analogy. So what we're saying from the media point of view, targeting the media, is that it's cool to acknowledge and give props to those that played it out through their type of careers and everything, because they did some incredible things. You cannot take nothing away from anybody that's funking under the G-Funk card.
That's right.
But you cannot leave out, just because Kobe Bryant made certain things other popular, you cannot leave out your Michael Jordans. And we are the Michael Jordans of this particular style of music.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. We're the blueprint of it. We're the reason why people look at it the way they look at it, because before us doing it on a humble, no one was looking at it like that or trying to pursue it in that fashion, And it's named by KMG and Law, and it's gangster funk. That's what it is. It's when you put music and melody and harmony and singing on top of hardcore raps. It could integrate itself into anything, though. It can integrate itself into jazz type of theory. It could innovate if it have the goons on it. When we say the goons, it's like how you hear Kokane singing on a lot of the Doghouse stuff. That comes from the origin of what we did as Above the Law. You know what I mean? It's the goons. He's singing like a goon. We used to call them goons. It's when you put different off and on cards on it. It's not just a talk box and a funk zap loop. It's not. That's not just G-Funk. That's an element that makes you identify it in hip hop as being a G-Funk record. But it's all these things we're talking about. Without all those elements, it's not only that. You know what I mean? It's when we did records like a VSOP or a Black Superman, that's only one record we did but VSOP is considered a G-Funk record as well. You know what I mean? So Never Missing a Beat is, Let Me Ride is. Pimp Clinic, which are the same, Dre Day is, but they're all from that type of theory. The high, I was the producer doing that. and putting crazy chords on top of the shit, off and on, and him and KMG coming there, putting the crazy stuff on top of it. That's what makes it G-Funk. Doesn't necessarily have to, yeah, if a talk box is on it and a zap loop, that is it. But that's not the only thing that makes it that. That's just one element of it, you know? So that's what people have to understand, because I'm the producer that came up with the theory of it, you know? I'm not the only producer that looped funky stuff, but I'm the one producer that said when we loop the funk shit, we should do it like that. That's why Pac coined it that way. He came in, he said, man, what y'all call your sound? He's like, we call it G-Funk, man. Everybody around our camp called it G-Funk. Before then, nobody even uttered the name G-Funk. He went in there, said, look, I'm pumping G-Funk, but you can call it what you want. How many times I gotta tell you, don't ignore it. Either hit the door, hold you nothing for me.
See it.
Yeah. He's the one who coined that on the record. Because he asked us what our sound was. We already had made it a sound already. So, you know, and furthermore, when Dre was working on Niggas for Life and I was working on Black Mafia Life, we was meeting at the Advertise for Construction video, and I played him the song.
Was that in Hollywood?
It was in Hollywood.
At the bank.
At the bank, yeah. When they did the bank scene, he was like, so I was playing the stuff at the session when they was in a break by the trailers, and he was like, what's that? I was like, shit, I just called it some G-Funk shit. I got Kokane, KMG singing on it, and we wrote this crazy shit around it, you know, slowed some Parliament shit down, slowed some jazz shit down, put some chords on top. He said, man, damn, that's what you call it? I said, yeah. So you gonna come up off that G-Funk shit, you know. And
that was Dr. Dre
that's
telling
Dre
me
said
that.
that. Dre told, yeah, it's a meeting I had with Dr. Dre. We was in by the trailers listening to the album. This is when they were together as NWA. Chronic hadn't even been conceived yet. But me and him worked together so much and compared notes, I could see how we influence each other. You know what I mean? So when Coca's saying we influenced all these people, it's not to say that they shouldn't have been influenced, because all the things in music is influence. You hang out with people all the time, they hear stuff, I'm gonna put a little that sprinkle of that little bit of that in mine too, homie. You know, that's what we own, homie. Yeah, let's do that. That's everybody. You know what I mean? That's just hip hop. That's just pure hip hop in the circles that you in. And a little bit got on them, the Snoop them in their camp, and you know what I'm saying? And that's how all of these things got really heard on all these different levels. So me and Coca, we're really happy and excited that happened.
Yeah.
And we're happy that happened. You know, we're happy that people look at G-Funk as being the signature of our culture out west, you know, and our contribution to hip hop. All of us, you know.
And so wherever anybody, you know, is representing that G-Funk,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? We proud of y'all doing what y'all doing.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All we just saying to the media is that once you start to, it's starting to revert around.
Don't leave us out.
Don't
Blatantly don't leave us out.
Because we're not gonna allow you to leave us out. First of all, you know what I mean. And secondly, it's just, you know, this sound had did exactly what Parliament sound P-Funk did. It, and, you know, you got to understand the lifestyle. You can go to New York. Well, they on that G-Funk shit. They lifestyle, Bloods and Crippin', and
Yeah.
you got essays over here. You got this over here.
That culture, yeah.
That
culture
come from that
through the music.
lifestyle,
Yeah, it come
and
through
it's
the
like
music.
that's the soundtrack to our life over here on the West Coast. But it went worldwide now, because you got people from France,
low riding.
G-Funk. You got people, you know, as a pioneer,
Japan,
Warren G was able to, you know, do what he did. And Warren G said adamantly, you know, I mean, he had an interview on Fox, and he was like, you know, the dude was saying, man, you're putting your thing to, you know, them dudes on Fox, you're putting your thing together, and it's incredible sound, and Nate Dogg and Snoop and you, man, this G-Funk saying it started in Long Beach. Warren G said, hold on,
Let's pump it break.
I didn't get that from that. I got it from above the law.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all we're doing by campaigning with this new project, because once people, when it comes from a media point of view, are so adamant on what this started, and once they find out, hey, it's a little bit different than what you heard or what you told, you know, it's cool that certain media outlets are starting to get up and resolve things and put the narrative in there. But it's brutal. This campaign is brutal because no matter what, how many people find out, they still going to keep their narrative.
Yeah.
If you tell somebody, I'm gonna go to the wrestling match, and Andre the Giant, Mil Moscatus, Andre Guerrero, Junkyard Dog, they fighting for real. That's like MMA.
Yeah.
And then you turn around and you found out just last week they was rehearsing those moves.
It's choreographed. You find it as choreographed.
But then you don't turn around and say, hey, those moves are rehearsed.
Yeah.
They were influenced by something else. Then you're only telling a lopsided story.
Yeah.
And we didn't work ourselves to create this legacy. Now our kids, or we have kids that are in the entertainment field, and we were able to see our parents go through those similar things to where they didn't get the credibility
they were supposed to get.
That they were going to get.
They got the credit, but not the credibility.
Yeah. And as long as we here on our clock, you know what I'm saying? You got to realize we still making music because people like to sow seeds of division. People like to say, okay, what does that mean? You know, because this is so much of an insulting type of situation. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to certain media outlets. Like I can truly say, Cam Capone, you hear it, you tell the truth. But certain other things that, man, they like to put their spin on there.
Pick and choose. Yeah.
And no matter what, it's like, even though we're targeting the media, you still gonna have assholes that's gonna be like, well, no, I want to say it the way I want to say it.
The truth should always be heard as the truth. It shouldn't be heard as, oh, these are my truths. No, it should be heard as the truth, literally the truth. It should never be that people can't come out and say what the truth is. Everybody can say, oh, this is my truth, but is it the truth?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And we're just here to say that truth is not slander. Truth is not conflict. Truth is not drama. It's the truth.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
And people in the world now, and to get on to what we're saying and get on where we're trying to get to, sometimes you have to do this because it's about educating. You know, like we talked earlier, Kokane, we talked about like how now you have hip hop media that only wants to talk about now and don't want to talk about what happened before, and the fact of like it can actually bring people in the new generation to another level.
And let me interject there with you. The most dumbed down part about this shit only happens in hip hop. It don't happen to country people. It don't happen to rock and roll. Willie Nelson ain't banging on Gar Brooks talking about whoopie whoop whoop. But for some reason, with the low vibration in hip hop, you always got people that just tend to say what their own narrative is, even if they know the truth.
And I tend to think it's necessary when it's necessary.
You know, I think it has to do with hip hop being built kind of off of battle rapping, and you know what I'm saying? That was always kind of like a core part of hip hop.
Yeah, but you could say the same thing. This is a competitive business.
Yeah, music is competition.
You know what I'm saying? No matter if it's James Brown.
No matter what genre it is.
No matter if it's supposed to be a competitive business, just like soccer, just like basketball. We go fishing on the off season, but when we on that stage or that basketball court, I'ma bring it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how any entertainer, I don't care who you is. Because I used to sit up and talk this way because the project I was able to write for, and we used to adamantly talk about this, you know, rest in peace. I wrote the last Jenny Rivera project. I wrote the whole English project. And she used to always tell me, well, this person got a problem with this person, and I got a problem with this person. But, you know, she was real with it.
Right, exactly, yeah.
But at the end of the day, we would say that's how it's supposed to be. Because if you have a corporation, if you have a country, if you have any industry, if you're not able to compete at a higher level, you ain't gonna be
your
successful.
Product is not gonna be
economics.
Legit. Your product is not gonna be legit if you don't compete on that level.
So we basically, you know, just in this game to be a staple, at the same time bring you some raw.
We need balance in hip hop.
We
need balance.
Yeah.
We need balance in hip hop. That's not like an old dude saying it. That's saying if you're a young dude, you need to know what path that you come from. You need to know that, and you need to embrace it, and you need to use it to move forward. You need to use that balance. You can't It's not an arrogant thing.
Right.
It's not an arrogant thing. You know, all of this. It's because of battle rapping, or the conflict, the competition comes from that.
Yeah.
But the conflict don't come from that. So I have to agree with you. The competition comes from that, but the conflict don't come from that. The conflict,
two separate things.
Yeah, the conflict comes from when people feel like the conflict sells. So let me stir the pot.
And the majority of stuff is like that anyway.
But the truth doesn't have to be conflict. See, the truth doesn't have to be conflict. Sometimes it's necessary, but it's just not. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be if it's not. It's like beef, for instance. You can't make beef if it's not a legitimate beef. It should be legitimate. It shouldn't be just because beef is what's selling. You know what I mean? Like, you need to have a legitimate beef with somebody in order to beef with them. You know, it needs to be something valid that either fucks with your bottom line, disrespects your person, your manhood or womanhood, disrespects your family. It has to be legitimate. It can't be just because beef is trending. If conflict and throwing shit on motherfuckers is trending, if you don't have a valid beef with that person, don't get into conflict and shit like that. Because where we've gotten away from is the truth. That's what I'm getting back to. We've gotten away from the truth in that. We've gotten away from that. If I just say some fucked up shit about this person and that person, which I don't even have no issues with them, but because conflict is selling, I'm gonna do that and get involved with that. That's not fair. You know,
yeah,
you asked them to get step two. You're asking to get step two. You asked them to get called to the carpet. You asking for all that if you don't have a valid beef, you know.
So the architecture G-Funk, it's real simple. You know what I'm saying? It's 14 bangers on the project. You can go, we're independent, so Westworld and Buddy Boy Entertainment is official. You can go ahead and get our new project, We Have Returned, at our website at www.buddyboymusic.com. It's real simple. A lot of the pre-orders have came through already, and we got the first single off the project called The Boogeyman. You press in AOGF, The Boogeyman, and it'll take you to the new banger by the new funk and soul hip hop group, which we call AOGF. No,
you looking at them.
No. If you heard the OJs, you ain't gonna hear no features on it.
Yeah, we did it like a funk band, actually a funk band. When you hear this, like a funk band did it together. So the voices in there is that band sound that you want to hear, but it's pure, unadulterated, 100% G-Funk. So it's an experience for the young audience who never was able to be on that ride, and for the old that have always supported. Please continue to support us, and there it is. You know,
there it is.
It's everywhere.
So Architecture G-Funk. Once again, go to that site at www. I'm gonna look into the camera. .bud is in there. BOYENT, not ENT. Music.com. That's www.buddyboymusic.com, and we'll make it super simple. Follow us on our IG at Mansa Musa Royal and at Kokane. Don't spell it the drug name. Spell it the MC Funky name. It's spelled at KOKANE _OG_, and the information link is right there in the bio. Super simple.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, man.
Always.
Yes, no
Thank
problem,
you,
man. No
Thanks,
problem.
Cornelio.
Shout out to the rest of the brother Law,
man.
DJ Chaos, Go Make with the Sack, Laylaw, rest in peace, Cam G, rest in peace, Eazy E. Shout out Dr. Dre, man. Boom.
What's up? This Cam Capone. If you want to hear these interviews with all the cuss words in it, all the stuff we had to take out because YouTube makes us cut a lot out, all you gotta do is become a member. Hit that button.